Welcome to the Stickmen podcast. Back with Rene today on Friday. How are we doing, Rene?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm enjoying the sun finally.
Yeah.
You might not see it. It's a bit dark here.
Just give him a flash.
Oh, it's gone.
It's gone already.
Well,
blink and you'll miss it.
There was sun, and I think it's the first time in months.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
Yeah. It's
starting to get a bit hot though.
It's getting hot, especially in here. We've just been complaining. We've got the lights on. As you can see by the production value, we've got still Rene's nice camera and the lights, so it looks really good. On that sort of note, you'll notice that right there we've got the new Stickmen Pod banner, which you can follow our socials. We are on now Instagram and on YouTube. We do have an email address, which I believe is stickmenpod@gmail.com, which would be cool to maybe send in any feedback or send in any sort of topics, things like that people might want us to bring up and discuss. Complaints, exactly, yeah. Just anything in general. And I'll put a link in the description of what that is just to make sure I've got it correctly. We've got the logo. All things are good. And yeah, we're back at it. I had my friend Pete on yesterday for a podcast that I recorded. That episode will come out probably next week sometime. Actually, mistake, we record this. It will be a few days before this one will actually go live. So bit of time travel there for you, but yeah, episode with Pete will come out. It was really good. Planning to have Pete on again, hopefully with Rene as well. 1 week we've got one in the pipeline to maybe discuss. Say yeah, exactly. We might need to change the location or just figure out a bit of logistics, but have an episode to sort of discuss conspiracy theories, which I think me and Pete love to talk about, especially after a few beers. It's kind of that kind of thing. I think you'd like to chat that as well. So yeah. But anyway, Rene, now that the 15-second law has passed for the old YouTube algorithm, we can have a little cheers and happy Friday.
Friday, really nice to finish a week.
Even though allegedly this could easily be apple juice, couldn't it? So I don't really see how...
It is.
It is apple juice, exactly. So, but yeah.
I'm also on the Mandarin Seltzer again.
Yeah, sponsored by Rene is, I think.
It's a shame, because I think these brew cats, I think they make these... they don't have their brewery. They kind of like the collaborations kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm a bit like, I don't know, but this is probably just like a for a while kind of thing.
Limited edition. Well,
which is a shame.
I'm assuming a podcast of this caliber will be the executives that work at Brewcats will be watching. So if you are watching, please send Rene a contract. We'll get it signed, and yeah, we will sponsor you officially on the podcast, and that'll be that. So. Or
just don't stop making this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll keep buying.
Yeah. So anyway, how's your week been, Rene? Been up to much? New haircut, I see, looking smooth.
Mate,
he's devastated about this little bit he's missed there.
I messed up.
Devastated by it.
I used to cut my hair. I cut my hair for like 15 years. I would just shave everything off. It's the first time I'm like letting the hair grow, and it was way easier when you could just cut everything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. The another note is that you might notice that we're using just my microphone this week and not the dual microphone setup. Essentially, we just noticed that we're kind of fucking up the sound, basically with me not having a mic arm, and I keep turning away and not speaking into the mic, things like that. So we've decided to accept defeat for this week and just go with the one microphone setup for now until we properly sort out how to manage
I think
sound.
It's better to have a okay-ish quality than it being annoying from time to time.
We've not figured it out yet. Obviously, we're really new to this, and yeah, it is what it is. We'll figure it out in the long run. But for now, we're back on the solo mic, and I think it sounds pretty fine. So
it sounds decent,
yeah. One of the things that when we first came up with the podcast, it was one of these weird things where, without even really talking about it, we decided the two things we'd probably never ever talk about on the podcast is religion and politics.
I don't remember this conversation though.
Yeah. I think it was. Yeah,
I believe you.
Yeah, it was just one of those. It wasn't even like a formal thing. It was like, yeah, we'll talk about what we're going to talk about. It's like, well, a bit of everything. It's like, but not politics. And it's like, yeah, fuck no, for sure not. And it was like, well, and not religion. It's like, and not even because we have we think they're, delicate subjects. It's just they're just pretty fucking boring, right? It's like no one really cares. Or at least we don't care too much about each other's political standpoints or religious views or things like that. I think I'm pretty openly said that I'm not religious in any way, and I said I don't really know where you stand on that. Like I said, not really something we talk about.
Yeah, not very religious.
Yeah,
I mean, not very religious.
He has his moments. A few whiskeys and he's starts to reflect. No, but yeah. So it's one of those. But then on that note, I did a political compass test about 3 or 4 months ago. For those of you that don't know, that this is new to me. It's like there's a questionnaire you do, and it will essentially plot you on this matrix where you lie politically, essentially. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit disappointed where I don't know where I thought I was, but I'm very basic with politics. I always see it as just left and right. So it's kind of like I thought if I know this is the wrong way on the image, but if left is here and right is here, I always thought and this is the middle. I thought I'd always just be leaning slightly into the right potentially. Like don't know a lot about politics, as I said. So
what you got?
I got in numbers it was minus 0.25. I'll show this in a graphic at some point. Maybe I'll even add my graphic in here. Well, here, maybe I'll add my one in as the chart. Basically, I got slightly left, like very, very marginal, like 0.25 was a thing, and then I think it was minus 1.9 libertarian. Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like left, right was economic scale, and then there was social scale, which was authoritarian and libertarian, and I was just basically I was very boringly kind of in the middle. But as I said, it was.
Nowadays, I don't know if being in the middle is so bad.
Yeah, true,
thing.
True. But it's one of those where, but the whole process itself, the questions are kind of fun and a bit ridiculous. So I already had the idea of I need to do quiz Rene on it, like on the pod, and just for the fun of it. And there's a lot of good talking points. And
so this is how we get cancelled.
Yeah, exactly. This is how it ends. And basically, neo-Nazi Rene comes out on the. But basically.
Funny story. I don't think YouTube likes that word being said, but
I don't think a lot of people like that word being said.
No, I mean you know what I mean.
Right,
like they like it even less.
True.
But the funny story, like I don't think my skin is lighter than a lot of Mexicans, but I don't think it's that light that you would think I'm European, right? Especially with the hair and everything. It's like I think not a lot of people would say I'm European.
Well, you could be Spanish, right?
Maybe, yeah, but in Germany, well, maybe because there's a lot of Turkish people.
Yeah,
anyway, I remember. Keep in mind, I look exactly like this. I didn't have like a mustache at all, but I used to shave my head, and I didn't know this was a thing, right? Like I know the skinhead kind of thing. But, But I've always worn black, and it's just because
it's slimming.
Yeah, but it's easy, mate. Like I remember when
especially with white cats.
When I got to
everywhere, but yeah.
When I got to Germany, I remember my mom was pissed because I bought 10 t-shirts, 10 black t-shirts. Bam, that's that. 2 black jeans or like normal jeans, and that's that.
Yeah.
And I would wear combat boots because that was what I used to wear when I was wrestling, kind of thing. I like them. And black jeans, black t-shirt, and then I had a black jacket. And that's how every single day I dress the same. And then I was in a couple parties in Germany with random people, and they would come close. And, are you skinhead? I was like, wait, what? I don't even speak German, mate. Like, what do you mean? Like,
you did shave your head as well, right? Back then.
I'm not even from here. It's like, yeah, but are you? I was like, I'm from Mexico. Yeah, but how are you? I was like, how can I be? If I'm, like, what? Oh, okay. I don't really mean to offend, but like, I was just wondering. And I was like, oh. And then that's why I own a red jacket nowadays.
Right, yeah.
I was like, maybe I have to change the black a bit.
Yeah, I was my brother and my mum in particular always complain to me about another black t-shirt, because I wear black t-shirts quite often. I think I'm pretty out there with my fashion now, where I've got a couple of red t-shirts, a couple of grey, a bit of blue. Yeah, exactly. I've got the logo. I mean, I'm very stylish. So it's one of those things where yeah, like I'm pretty much similar in that regard of like outfits. But anyways, the point was that I had Pete on yesterday, and we talked about just some things. It was decent chat, decent podcast. And then after the pod, we just sort of hung out for a while, and I ended up running him through the quiz of like, we should. And I thought, I should have done this on the pod. And I thought I'll get Rene on, and because I say I'll do it with Rene tomorrow. I knew we had this scheduled, and I was like, that'll be fine. It'll be a good episode. And it was one of those where some of the questions they're just good, similar to when we had the. When we talked about the animals that you could fight, I think that kind of interactive kind of podcast is quite fun because it's a bit different.
there are different questions.
Yeah,
right? Like...
yeah, exactly. but it's quite fun, and I think it'll be a good thing to sort of start off with. Some of them are, like I say, some of these questions I got on the iPad here just because, yeah, that's where the questionnaire is. If you want to follow along, if you want to do the test yourself, the website, I'll put a link again, is politicalcompass.org, and there's just the test there, and you do the test, and it will tell you. You get, I can't remember how many questions there are, but you get, each question has strongly disagree, agree, and strongly agree. So I'll ask you the question, Renee. Some of them are a bit kind of, like, I had to Google up a couple of them. They're a bit, some of them a bit like, what the fuck does that even mean? But I should hopefully know what they mean now, and if not, we'll Google them again, and we'll start with that. So I'll start you off, shall we? This is the first question, just to sort of, it says, if economic globalization is inevitable, I know this already seems like it's a high school.
What should I
test.
answer? It's like from 1 to 10, 1 to 0.
It's going to be strongly disagree, agree. So there's four answers. Yeah. So if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. And if there's at any point you need more clarification, I can try. But
yeah, I strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Cool.
That's not how it goes, but that's
sure. Yeah.
Ideally.
Cool. Now they vary from like really like what I'd call like intense questions. Like I'm not saying that is intense, but they'll be like more to then a question like this, which is just I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong.
I have a question before for the first one.
Yeah, sure.
Because I do agree that's how it should be. Realistically, do I want it to be like that? Here's I struggle a bit because I know the world doesn't work like that, so I wouldn't want. For example, if you ask me now I vote in Finland because I live here, right? If you ask me, do you want Finland to go with the humanistic way? I was like, yeah. Even if the whole world is going not through that, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because then we'll get wrecked.
And that's the thing about these questions generally.
Is this
right?
ideal? Like what I would believe that it should be. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Your
Then
sort of
I strongly
ideology.
agree.
Yeah. Because the thing is with these questions is they're like that kind of question. It's the first question itself is a bit nonsense in my opinion, in the sense of we could spend an hour talking about that one question, right? It's like that. It's a very, there are so many, a lot of these questions. Like the second question I think is very cut and dry for me, like very easy to answer. But some of the questions you almost need to ask 7 or 8 more questions to find out what your answer would be, right? Yeah. So like second question here is I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong, and you have to say whether you agree or disagree, basically.
No.
Right. Cool. So would you disagree or strongly disagree or agree or?
Disagree, not strongly.
Okay. Cool. Fine.
Yeah. Because I think there's still some part of like take one for the team kind of thing, but.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel it's a bit like in that I feel the same as, for example, with your brother. Like, well, with my brother or your brother in your case, where it's
even if they're wrong, you back them up, kind of thing.
You know what? Like in the kind of like, if I'm around him, then I make fun of him and like,
but he's my brother.
Trash kind of thing. But if then someone else says the same, it's like, hey, wait. I can tell him he's trash, but that's that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, fair point. So I get what you're saying. You're like, I can call my brother an arsehole, but you can't call my brother an arsehole. I get that. I think my point is, I think I put strongly disagree, and I think the reason for that was it's just like, I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong, right? But without very delicate shoes on now, like if my country wrongfully invaded another country for no, which it has, in the past, right?
A couple times.
Once or twice, right? So I said my delicate shoes are on. If hypothetically my country invaded a country, like unethically, I wouldn't support it, right? So as in, that being said, I get what you're saying, as in, there's a difference between supporting your country and supporting those decisions. But as a rule, I think
I would say disagree, not strongly, but
yeah, fair, absolutely.
That reminds me of Trevor Noah's best joke, in my opinion,
right?
Where he's talking about British, and there's some guy complaining like, these immigrants, they come here, they bring their food, they bring their language, their traditions, they don't want to assimilate, these kind of things. Like, that's not the British way. I was like, it sounds very British.
It is literally the British way, yeah, exactly. 100%. Very happy to laugh at my own country. Because it's laugh or cry sometimes, isn't it? So, anyway.
I mean, mate, I'm from Mexico.
Yeah.
I can tell you. Usually laugh.
Yeah. It's good to have a sense of humour, isn't it? And,
Yeah.
right, on that note as well, no one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So you think agree or strongly agree?
Agree.
Mm-hmm. As I said,
I do believe you should have some kind of pride in your country, in the sense of like you should like strive to make it better, kind of thing, and these kind of things. But
yeah,
but I think if you are one of these like super nationalist of like, oh, I'm super proud of my country and I wear the flag everywhere, kind of thing, then it's because you have nothing else to be proud of, which means your life is not good. Like, you know,
yes,
you should. Yeah,
it's interesting. With me and Pete, when we chatted about this yesterday, I was on the agree. But I think I might have I flip flop between agree and disagree, and the reason why I put disagree in the end, like I think I agree overall, because I do flip flop, because I think it is foolish to be proud. Like you don't choose where you're born, so to be like I'm British and I'm proud is a bit foolish, because it's like, well, and if you were born in France, you'd be French and be proud. And if you were born in Spain or Mexico or America or Australia, it doesn't matter, right? But it's not foolish to be proud of it, in the sense of it's foolish to literally land in the country, like you've been randomly selected, you go to Britain and be proud day one. But when you live there for 20, 30 years and you hopefully add to society and add to the nation in some regard, then you can kind of be proud of what the nation becomes, because in that tiny amount, no matter how insignificant it might be, you may have contributed to that, right?
I know what you mean, but I'm thinking of the connotation of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of like, there's a lot of things about Mexico I don't like. That's why I live in Finland. But for example, last summer we were in Mexico with Petra. I was like, of course I'm proud of a lot of things, and in the sense of like I want to show her around, and I was like, hey, look, this is really cool. This food's really nice. Let's go eat here. Let's go see this. Let's go see that.
Yeah.
And of course you're happy and you really want people to see it, right? Especially like my YouTube channel is all about that.
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna show you what's real Mexican food instead of this like Tex-Mex, not even good Tex-Mex they make here sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I think it very often, if you take it to the extreme, it always becomes this like, because people who are super proud in Mexico, there's not a lot of people like that in my opinion, but people who take it to the we're like the best country in the world kind of thing, it's usually because they don't have anything else to be proud of.
I think that's pretty much universal across most nations. Like the UK, the same. There's
same as here. Like you see the people who are like, we're the best. Let's bring the good times back, kind of thing, which we've heard in many other countries. Then it's usually, it's never the successful guy who has good interactions with a lot of people and has a good life, right?
Yeah, totally agree.
It's never that guy.
Yep, agreed. And I think I think it's one of those where that question, I think you can sort of go either way. You can make cases for both points. And like I said, I don't really know. From a pragmatic sense, I agree in terms of it is foolish to be proud of it, because but it's like I said.
If there was a neutral one, I would choose that. But I would go with the agree because of the negative connotation that kind of thing usually has. Yeah,
and as I said to any viewers, like I said, it's kind of fun if you follow along. Let us know what you think about that. Like that question in particular. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Let us know maybe in the comments. What do you think? Where are you from, and are you proud of it? Let's see. So that'd be kind of for that. Okay, this is another good one. Our race. So take that as you please. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. So I guess speak about yourself. Like our race has many. Sorry.
No, mate, I think that's dumb.
Yeah.
I think that's dumb in general, because I do believe humans are different in, like, very slightly, right? That in the sense of, like, there's a reason why... We talked this about last time, in the last podcast.
No, we're going to talk about the NBA?
Yeah.
I think we talked about a discussion I had with someone, which I will bring up further.
Yeah. In the sense of, like, you don't see black people being excellent swimmers, right? Because they have the higher bone density.
And 90% of the NBA is black.
Yeah,
but it's not.
But you have the runners, because like their muscles are longer and they're good at that. So I think every race has like a slightly. They might have an advantage in something, but the differences are so small that it's just like.
Yeah, and I mean this could be and this will be a podcast in itself, because you could argue there are arguments both ways. For example, the NBA was the argument I had in a debate with someone over a different topic, which we will bring in. But and I used that to back up my opinion of that they were saying about discrimination in a certain field of people, and I said, well, 90% of the NBA is African American in terms of race. That doesn't mean that, let's just take me as a white person, that doesn't mean that the NBA is discriminating against white people. It just means that in a elitist or meritocracy situation, such as professional basketball at the highest level, the best people for the jobs will get the jobs, kind of thing. And in that case, it just happens to be that 90% of them happen to be black men, right, in the NBA. So, and then you could argue that it isn't race related; it's more sociological, or it's upbringing. Like I said, this could be a complete 2-hour episode in itself. But yeah, for sure, I tend to agree with you that maybe there. But for that question, I did put strongly disagree, because the way it puts is like, our race has many superior qualities compared to other races. It's kind of like, I see that as maybe a strong push, right? As in, I think generally humans are on a spectrum, right? So, anyway, I think you said disagree,
and I think even strongly disagree.
Strongly, okay.
Even, for example, on the culture, right? Because when Spanish people came to Mexico and they talk like, yeah, but you were savages and stuff, and it's like, mate, but we showered every day, right? Like, there was no diseases in that kind of sense as in Europe, where you have the plague and stuff, and then we were making human sacrifices and stuff, which is like, wait, maybe it's a bit like more on the other side of like, but then you go to Peru and they were making blood transfusions at the time, and it's like, I think every culture has developed different things, and it doesn't mean you're better or worse than others, like.
For sure, yeah. The next question is, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I don't know, I will open a new one.
I don't think in politics that should be a thing.
Well, this isn't necessarily in politics. This is just saying, like in ideology, right? Do you believe that the enemy of your enemy is your friend, or do you not believe that, basically, in just a general philosophical sense?
I think it can be very often the case, but I don't think it's always the case.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I disagree.
Okay. Military action. Sorry, I've got fluff on my iPad. Okay, this is, I think, a good one. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified.
Here's where we start with problems.
This is where the difficulty. This is, I say, some of these are tough. Some of these you might get some cold looks at work.
In ideal world, I strongly disagree.
Mm-hmm.
In the nowadays world, I don't know, mate. I don't know if I would say I agree. I'm gonna give you this example, right?
Yep.
Physically attacking someone is wrong.
Yep.
I think it's always wrong. Like, violence shouldn't be your first or second or third resource. Having said that, I've been in situations, for example, when you're bullied and stuff, that you can do everything right, go to the teacher, go do this, do that, and nothing happens. And you beat someone once. You don't even have to beat them up. You hit once. Bam. And the problem is solved.
Yeah.
So I think, ideally, it shouldn't be an answer. But realistically, sometimes it is what it is. So I would say, in an ideal world, I strongly disagree.
Sure.
But I would be in the middle ground. I will say I disagree because of the principle, but
right,
I would be in between of the sometimes. What's the phrase? The end justify the means.
Yeah. No. I think for mine, I totally agree with you, but I think for mine, I'm a bit of a monster. I put strongly agree, and the reason for it, right, is me and Pete had a big discussion of this because we weren't sure is the honest answer, right? And even the term like military action that defies international law, it's like I'm not familiar with the ins and outs of international law. I'm sure you're probably not as well. I know I have a rough idea of what that kind of entails, but I'm not.
Oh, put me on agree.
Okay.
Because, for example, here's the thing, right? Now in the Russian conflict and stuff, like when they're attacking and they're like violating laws and stuff, and Ukraine is mostly, from what we can tell, right? Like they're kind of like taking war prisoners and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like sometimes I don't think it's just made. If the other side is like doing all this kind of messed up things,
that's exactly my logic.
You should just like finish it quick, and that's that. And maybe the international law will understand, kind of thing. It's kind of the self-defense, ain't it? I had this discussion like earlier about that there was this like robberies and stuff in Tampere.
Right.
And people have tried to rob me a couple times. Not in Tampere, like not in Finland at all, but like it has happened to me a couple times.
Life, yeah.
And well, they haven't, but they have tried.
Yeah.
And for me, for example, the laws of self-defense here are basically this kind of like, if they try to stab you, tell them to please stop and go away. Which is being in that situation, I'm not gonna, it's either
you're never gonna.
It's either him or me.
Nice
I'm not gonna ask, and I'm not gonna be like, oh, one punch was enough. I have time to run. It's like, mate, if you try to stab me, you're gone.
Yeah.
So, I feel that's the same situation of when you take it to the extreme, where like it's live or get killed. Maybe the international law will be like the last thing you're thinking of.
Yeah, so my logic on this question why I end up going with strongly agree, right? As I said, might paint me out as an absolute monster, but like it is what it is, right? It was this, right? So me, as I said, not familiar entirely of what this exactly means in terms of but I understand international. What they mean is like you can't invade countries of certain, there are rules of engagement to wars and laws and ethics.
Yeah, and it's like
that.
if the guys
you can't torture someone. If they surrender, you can't. Yeah, exactly right. So with those things, and this is like the question is military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I'm not saying always, right? But the example I gave to Pete that essentially led me to think strongly agree is I was like you in an ideal world strongly disagree, but there are times right where. Let's take an example, a really like savage example of like torturing someone. Like torturing is, everyone would agree, horrible and wrong, right? That being said, right, if there is a terrorist that's captured and the information that terrorist has, for example, can save thousands or hundreds of thousands of lives, right? Do I want my government or the people, my military?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I agree.
To do whatever's necessary to, and I know some people would hate that, but that's in my opinion. You kind of lose your right to humanity when you pick a path. Right?
I do agree that.
Yeah.
I think there's a line that if you cross, your human rights should be stripped away.
Yeah, it's like if let's just say the terrorist example, it's like from a game theory perspective, right? If your opponent is willing to cross that line and you're not, you won't win.
Yeah.
So if you're in a war against terrorism and the terrorists are decapitating people in the middle of the street or on camera and torturing military operatives and spies and whatever, and you're not willing to do the same, and you're pouring them a glass of lemonade and going, oh, could you please tell us where your boss lives? And they go, nope, I want my lawyer. And you go, okay, and you put you're never going to agree. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. But yeah,
well,
cool.
Put me down and agree.
Agree. Yep, you're on agree. Cool.
Slightly, not
slightly.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You're not a principle.
Yeah.
I would put myself in the middle because I do agree, but at the same time, I do believe in the ideal world it shouldn't be like that.
Yep, I totally agree.
In an ideal world, people understand by speaking, and you don't have to slap them in the face. You know, but
exactly.
Sometimes it's not the case.
We don't live in an ideal world, and so it's in an ideal world, I think in an ideal world everyone would answer this the same, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But we don't live in an ideal world. So, next question is: there is a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. That's just the whole question. Take it as you will.
There's
a worrying fusion of information and entertainment.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So just an agree.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I can't remember what I put. Honestly, I thought the question to me was somewhat irrelevant. Didn't really care.
I would put agree. Not strongly, maybe.
I put agree. Yeah. For you.
My problem with that kind of information is the sense that nowadays you have a lot of disinformation everywhere, right? And you have like these fake news agencies and stuff. People like trying to make trends in social media. We've talked about this. But you also have people thinking that their opinion is as valid as someone who has studied a topic for years and years. And and I think that's a problem because then you have like these influencers and stuff, people who have a very strong voice, people follow them, and then you're like, I disagree with you, who have you have a PhD or 3 PhDs in this kind of topic. You have dedicated your life to study a topic. Oh, but I disagree. Why? Because I don't think that's right. It's like, yeah. To be fair, what you think is irrelevant in a topic when someone else has studied it.
for sure. But on that question, I think that question just generally was sort of more like leaning towards basically a worrying fusion between information and entertainment. And what I took that to mean...
because right now, for example, I understand what you mean. Because people nowadays, I think TikTok is taking over as search engine.
Yeah.
So then TikTok is entertainment, man. Like you might have some information there. Like my recipes are kind of informative, of like it's like a do-it-yourself kind of thing, but it doesn't stop. It doesn't change the fact that you shouldn't take a 30 seconds TikTok and be like, oh, now I'm informed.
That's what that. Yeah, I know. yeah. No, fair. I think I probably put agree as well. I don't fully remember that. This is page 2 of 6. Just to let you know. So but some of the but bear in mind like this page.
Is short.
No. This page is like I guess the viewers can probably see like page 2 here. If you're following along, you see there's quite a lot of questions here. People are already skipping. I can see it in the camera, but no. But a few of the later sections just have like 4 or 5 kind of short questions. Yeah. So yeah. So this one is people are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. So do you think people are divided more by their class or by their nationality? Yes or no?
It's a bit of both, man. More by class. Yeah, I think the class makes a bigger issue.
Mm-hmm. So you agree or strongly agree?
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wouldn't say strongly, but yeah.
I went strongly because I'm a savage. But yeah, but no. As in, why the reason why I thought that is I thought if you think about
because for example you're fucked if you're like the lowest class. You're fucked no matter
whoever.
Where you live.
It doesn't matter exactly. Yeah.
But having said that, it's not the same being low class in India than low class in Finland. You know what I mean?
True.
So I think that I wouldn't say strongly agree because I think also where you live makes a huge difference.
True. But I would just say that people. I'm not like I say my answer isn't correct and your answer isn't wrong, right? There is. We're both on the same. We're both on the same page in the sense I went strongly agree and you went agree. So we're both at least leaning the same way. For me, I think I went strongly because I just thought whether you're royalty or an aristocrat in China or in Sweden or in Russia or in Belarus, like anywhere, right? Anywhere around the world, if you're upper echelon in like your nationality is irrelevant. You're just rich as hell, and if you're poor, like the same sort of thing around the world as you sort of touched on. I do agree with what you made a very interesting point about if you're poor in India, it's very different to being poor in Britain or Finland or even Mexico.
The thing is, like, for example, I see it in Mexico, right? Yeah. If you're poor in Mexico, you're begging, you're like living off the trash kind of thing, and you'll make a couple dollars every day. And if you're the lowest of the lowest here in Finland, you might get Kela support and you have a roof on your head, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, that's a complete different level.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I do agree. So we've got you for agree there. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. This whole section, by the way, is economy, apparently.
I would say I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the inflation goes crazy, like for example in Argentina and Venezuela, then your unemployment is irrelevant, right? Everyone's fucked.
100% agree. Yeah. I was pretty much the same. I might have been strongly agree or agree. I can't remember, but I gave the example to Pete. Pete wasn't sure, and I just said, "Well, the reality is, right? If I give."
Did I say agree or strongly agree?
You said agree, I think.
I strongly agree.
Yeah, I think I went strongly agree because I think I basically said the same argument. It was like I just said if you look at it like this, if inflation spins out of control to where the cost of any like good that you need to buy is unaffordable, then people being in jobs is irrelevant, right? Because it's the same sort of spot. So yeah, I agree. And as I said, Renee and I, caveat to that, not financial bias. We don't have any financial qualifications, but we are right. Right, because
I don't have many qualifications in general.
True that, yeah. We're just wise beyond our time. That's a qualification in itself, is it not? Right, because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation.
Because what?
Because corporations can't be trusted to...
Yeah, I think you need to regulate stuff, 100%.
So
I mean, there's regulations and no one cares, mate, so...
There's what, sorry?
There is regulations already and not a lot of people care, so...
Yeah, so they just pay the fines, right? So yeah, I agree. Which one do you want for that?
Strongly agree.
Yeah, I did the same. I think Pete was disagreeing and we had a little good chat about that, but he made some good points, but yeah, I fundamentally... Pete's wrong. No, from each... Okay, this is... I believe this is a... Fuck. history coming in here. Some kind of Stalinism or Leninism. I'm bad with it's this kind of communist type quote, and it said, "From each according to his ability, to each according to his need," end quote, is a fundamentally good idea.
Can you read the phrase again?
From each according to his ability, to each according to his need. So what I took that to sort of mean was like basically.
So that's capitalism, basically.
I think it's communism actually more, because it's saying that like if I'm the one who's able to provide, if I'm really good at things and I can provide, it should be from me to the person who needs. If you need it more than me, but I'm capable of gathering it, it should come from me to you, type things.
I'm in the middle, mate.
Yeah, it's a.
Here's the thing, mate.
It's a shit question because it's basically that.
I'm gonna say I agree because I think that's how it should be. Mm-hmm. In general, I think we should all have our needs met, as long as you're a productive member of society.
That question comes later.
It shouldn't matter, like, what's your job? Because here's the thing, right? Because we need people who clean. We can't all be doctors. We can't all be lawyers. We can't
be rock stars. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
But I do believe the gap in between shouldn't be as massive.
Yeah.
I think if you're a cleaner, or you're like, what's the lowest paying job here? Like, maybe a clerk.
No idea.
It's like
I have
store
no
clerk.
idea,
I don't know what's the kind of like lowest paying jobs.
It's like a minimum wage. Let's just say like a subway worker
cleaning,
or
I think that salary should be enough to cover all your needs, no matter what.
Yeah.
And then, of course, mate, if you are a doctor, you spent 15 years of your life studying and like smashing it. 100% you should have a bit nicer life.
Yeah.
But the other guy that chose not to, he should also be able to survive because he's still working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And society needs those jobs anyway.
Yeah, it's and then like I say, this question in itself could be another 2-hour podcast in itself, because it's like one of those things that.
But that's my logic behind it.
I think communism, which is what I believe this quote. I believe it is a quote from Stalin. I could be completely wrong. I have to Google it.
Because I disagree. We should all be the same. You're a doctor. You smashed it, and then I basically do nothing, or like do a mini like
It was a phrase from Karl Marx, which I believe is also communist. Yeah. So I was on the right page.
Socialist,
I think. Socialist. So it's
What I mean is, like, I disagree with the idea we should all be the same if you smashed it. If you are, for example, with your poker player, right? Like, how many years you spent getting wrecked and like
many.
trying. You know what I mean? Like, that's like proper grinding.
Yeah.
And
sorry about sound.
I cannot expect to kind of like, no, I'm not gonna study. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna take a random job that requires no skill. I want to make the same as you make.
Yeah.
It's like I think that's a bit taking it to the extreme.
Yeah.
Or taking, or like not just you, or like, or the lawyer who studied, or the doctor who studied, like.
It's a difficult situation, right? Because like I'm not educated on the subject enough in the sense of like communism or socialism. I don't know what's the correct term for it, but the whole. I remember studying communism in high school, and I remember basically being that the state would just basically take grain or whatever from the farmers and they distribute it amongst the land, right? Because some areas of the land would have better yields, and some areas would get flooded and lose, right?
Yeah.
And in an ideal world,
we all get the same.
In an ideal world, that makes sense.
But we all work the same.
We all work the same hours. We all put in the same amount of effort, and as a society in general, we all succeed. And I think that in an ideal sense, that makes sense, right? The issue occurs, right? The devil's advocate to that argument is, well, we don't exceed expectation in the sense of we may not progress to like greatness, if you will, with that system in place, because if I'm not going to get more, if I don't reap what I sow, essentially, there is no incentive for me to try and exceed, to put in 10 more hours than Rene in the fields, to whatever. Because so therefore, as a society, you could argue that we would live a lower quality of life, because we wouldn't have electric cars, and we wouldn't have cell phones that we can and I sort of digress, but you sort of see my point. So but essentially to bring it back to topic, from each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. Yes or no? What do you think?
Yes, I think wealth should be distributed in the sense of like everyone should get their needs covered if you are a productive member of society.
Cool. So,
or you have a good reason not to be.
Yeah, and as I said, all these questions, they're a little bit like I said to you, you kind of a lot of them you sort of be like, well, there are stipulations. You know,
there's a lot of ifs, but like I gave you my answer, which was
agree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Not strongly agree because like taking it to extremes again, like, but that's my logic behind it. I think we can't all be the same because it is what it is, mate. Like if you put more effort into what you do, it is what it is. But everyone's needs should be covered by everyone's work, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the podcasts where this would actually be quite nice. Put in the comments. I think I'd be interested to see if we do get any feedback, and I'd be interested to see what other people think on these stuff because it is kind of like they're interesting questions.
Because they might think I'm very wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not, but
yeah,
they might think.
They're entitled to their opinion.
I'm not an expert in any of these topics.
Yeah. So this next question: the freer the market, the freer the people.
I think that's the same.
So you agree? You mean, or
it's the same of like with a lot of ifs, and ors. I mean, just put agree.
Okay. Yeah. So for that one for me, I think I was a strong agree because I think to me that one is was for me at least relatively background. I could be wrong, but I just thought, by logic, the freer the market, the freer. If you don't have any like things put in place. For example, let's take Finland as an example, right? There is a monopoly, like the government.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah, the government. You cannot buy alcohol in Finland from, like strong alcohol, if you will, like vodkas, whiskies, whatever. You can't wine even. You can't buy them. You can only buy them from
nothing above 5.5%.
Yeah, you can't buy them from anything except for the state-run. That sounds really kind of communist, but you know, you can't buy them from anywhere except for the government-ran business Alco, right? Yeah. Therefore, right, that's not a free market because there's no competition. They set the prices, they set the tariffs, they set whatever, and you pay it or don't pay it. And
that's why a lot of people travel to Estonia and Sweden to buy cheap alcohol.
And if you import alcohol here and they catch you, whatever, you pay a fine or the taxes or whatever it might be. I think it's an import tax, whatever. And to me, it's just that's ludicrous.
But you can go. People take the ferry to Estonia, for example.
Yeah.
You buy like they take these carts and they buy crates, but massive amounts of cans and stuff. Because as long as it's personal use, then it's fine.
Okay, yeah, okay. But so to me, and I know a lot of Finns might defend this, and I think the defense is that from a social standpoint, it is like the government stepping in to like monitor to basically.
I mean, they want to prevent the drunk people, but it clearly is not working.
Exactly.
In the corner of my where I live. In front of Sokos, this like apartment store. There's always the drunk guys. Yeah. The racist dude, we've talked about this in the podcast. Yeah. He's always there with a bottle of like Vina or like cheap alcohol kind of thing.
And that's the thing, right? And all you do by putting these things in,
he just drinks from 9 to 5.
Now he's an alcoholic and he's a bankrupt alcoholic because because it's like, and so I just think I put strongly agree. You put agree, and I just think I think in a general rule, I'd love to hear somebody's opposing view on this because. To me, I'm pretty sold on the free of the market, the free of the people. I just don't see a way where a non-free market is beneficial. I just don't see it. So
for me, it's insane because Finland, to me, it's one of the most free countries in the world. Like people here, to me, it seems like they really do whatever the hell they want. And you see all kinds of people, and people are free to use their hair and their like body, like how they dress and everything. It's like it doesn't really matter, right? People don't care here. But then you have this monopoly with the alcohol.
It's crazy.
And then you have the when there was the corona, it's like all the bars closed and stuff. And then the guy who was leading alcohol was like, "We had a great year. We sold more than ever. I'm doing great. I'm gonna get a massive bonus." I was like, because everything else is closed. But you are the only one selling alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you will have to be. I don't know what it will take for you not to sell more than last year. It's like what are you talking about?
A mass wipeout of population,
you know
maybe.
What I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only case.
Which the coronavirus could have done.
So. I did so good, mate. I sold more. Yeah, all the bars are closed.
There was nowhere fucking else to buy. Corona, literally. Yeah, exactly. It was like, and it's like the same as the gambling industry. Like, so the alcohol and gambling in Finland is you can only gamble through the same thing, government regulated site, Veikkaus, I think it is, whatever. So,
Yeah.
so all the like
They have awful rates.
they run the lottery, they run the slot machines, they run poker sites, they run betting sites, and they run, as a professional sports bettor, they run savagely bad it's awful bets. Betting on there is terrible. You can't win. So it's like we're protecting our people by running a monopoly and offering them the worst odds they can ever.
They also have these machines, the slot machines outside of the markets and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of those proceedings, I think all the earnings go to charity.
Yeah.
But then the most people, like the people who are most addicted and that use those the most, is the lowest income people.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like, yeah, you're giving to charity, but you're basically screwing low income people. So it's like, is it a good thing?
Yeah, and obviously, like we're kind of shit talking Finland a little bit in this regard because like 90.
Just the monopolies.
Yeah, like exactly 90% of the way I think Finland runs its country is awesome, absolutely amazing. Yeah. It's just those little points where I'm just like,
especially that you can do everything online. You don't have to see people at offices and stuff. Yeah, I love that thing.
I very much agree with Finland's take on not having to interact with human beings. I love
it.
Yeah, good job, Finland. Next question. So we got you to agree for that. Next question is: it's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. I can read it again; it's a bit of a mouthful.
It is strongly agree, but I don't think in Finland that's a problem because this is the best water ever.
Tap water's better than bottled water. Yeah. Okay, we'll just move on from that one then. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought or sold.
Agree.
Okay, yeah.
Agree. I will put myself in between.
Yeah, fair.
Because it's the same in the market and stuff, but I do believe it shouldn't be because nowadays, for example, I think a lot of people, I don't know in Finland, because I think in Finland things seem a bit nicer than back home. But in Mexico...
There's also a lot more land than people right here, so it's a lot easier to...
Because in Mexico I had a massive salary compared to a lot of people, and still I would have never been able to, with that salary, to afford a home.
Yeah.
And here, it seems doable. Like it doesn't seem like super hard.
Again, I think the fundamental to that is like there's a population of around 5 million people, and it's way bigger than the UK, for example. So it's like whereas UK is what 60-70 million, and it's like
that's an issue.
Yeah, so it's everyone in Finland with like people with like average incomes, they often have a house and a cabin, and they own a bit of land. It's like it's lovely. It's a really good quality of life out here for sure.
But we're not people.
But you can't buy alcohol on a Sunday, so
yeah, man.
Right. So I've got you for
you can't have it all, man.
You can't have it all, can you?
And then you celebrate when you have sun in the middle of the spring.
Exactly. Yeah. They're trying to protect our livers, but yeah, I'm joking. So anyway, so the next, so I've got you down as
agree. If there was a middle, I would select the middle, like non-decisive.
I've already clicked your one on this next one, but it's easy to move, so don't worry. So accidentally, so it is regrettable that many I'll start again. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to society. Before you answer that, that's a really good question for me and Pete, because that's essentially what poker is. Yeah. and our answers on that might have surprised, but
I strongly agree then.
Yeah.
No, it is a shame, mate. I totally, do believe. Yeah. I do believe. It's a tough spot, because I think in an ideal world we are all driven by the common good, but I don't think that's the case, and I do agree.
Yeah, I thought
not strongly, but like I do.
For what it's worth, I think I did strongly agree. I can't remember. But that is coming from a person who essentially
does that for a living.
Yeah, exactly. It's like spot on. And the thing is it's just like but the reality is, the world doesn't need poker players, right? Like the world isn't a better place for having professional poker players. I'm well aware of that. The world doesn't need professional sports bettors. The world doesn't need crypto traders or stockbrokers or it's all bullshit, right? It's like I enjoy those things and I do love those things, and it's and I'm skilled in that area for sure. But would my time and effort and mind be more like better dedicated to other things? 100%. And
would they pay better?
No, yeah, and that's the thing, right? So so for sure, I'm never going to sit on my high horse and go. And you do get this, right? Because Pete made the joke about it when we talked about it yesterday. He said, "Well, to be fair, if the professionals didn't exist, the recreational players wouldn't be able to get the game or whatever going." And I said to him, I was like, "This is an argument that all poker players sort of sleep at night on, kind of thing, which is just not a thing." It's like, yeah, but I agree for sure. Like, it is a shame because like the super rich, right? Most of them do just manipulate money, and that's how. And it's like it is fucking awful. And I think that is why I ended up leaning more left than I thought, is because some of the things that even I don't necessarily like live by, I do kind of agree with, if that makes sense. But yeah,
here is the thing, man. It's like what we've been talking. In an ideal world, you don't slap people. In the ideal world, you don't need to fight for having a better life.
Yeah.
And struggle on this.
In an ideal world, you don't need to torture someone for information, right? Sort of thing. Exactly. But it's like, it's a case of it. Like, if you ask yourself, if it was your mother or whatever that was being held hostage, and the only way to get the answer was to beat someone nearly to death to get the answer, it's a no-brainer, right? It's like, but yeah, on a more tame note, I'll get on to the next question, which is
I'm getting worked up.
It's like protectionism is sometimes necessary in a trade. If you don't know what that meant, I didn't. I had to Google it. It's basically when tariffs are put in place.
Yeah, to kind of like control the market and stuff.
Yeah,
like
to mean
it happens a lot between the Mexico and US and Canada.
Yeah.
So is it like it's sometimes necessary? It says there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree, man.
Yeah, I put a quick agree on that. I think Pete disagreed, gave some reasons. I didn't necessarily disagree with what he was saying. I just thought that he made a good valid point. I just said I don't know enough about it. Is the short.
In an ideal world, again, completely disagree, strongly disagree. It shouldn't be a thing, but in this world, you sometimes have to do that.
Yeah, I gave the example of, like, let's just take like Finnish farmers, right? I don't know anything about Finnish agriculture, but let's just say like the price of a kilo of beef in Finland from Finnish farmers is probably more expensive than importing beef from Taiwan or whatever, right, or something.
Yeah.
But so the thing is, but if you do that, there will be no Finnish farmers, and it's one of those things where, and Pete's argument was kind of valid, which he said, but from an economical standpoint, but at the end of the day, the people that can provide goods at lowest cost, is that a bad thing? I'm so, I don't know why I disagree with it, but I just kind of do. I feel like you should. I remember that, even my mum, we'd be in England and she'd pay more for certain beef because it's from British farmers, and she's just like, oh, it's just good to it's good to help out local farmers.
Here you have the, and I really like it. I don't know if you've seen. There's a key or a swan when something's made in Finland.
Yeah. I think we have the same in the UK.
Very often. Well, in Mexico, it's like a tiny eagle. I don't know what's that in the UK. Yeah, because swan is the national bird. I don't know where the key comes from, but for example, if I go to the market, I do try when I'm here in Finland. It's like you have the Finnish tomatoes and the Spanish tomatoes. I'll try to buy the Finnish, but
they're €16, and you're like, oof.
Yeah. When they're like €3 and €4 a kilo, it's like, okay, maybe I can buy the Finnish.
Yeah, when it's like
2 and 8, it's like, mate, I'll take the Spanish ones,
Prime example. Remember the potatoes in the summertime for like midsummer.
But it's the mini ones. Those are excellent though.
Everyone raves about. I'm gonna already, if the Finns
new
are listening
potatoes.
To this. Yeah, new potatoes
with a bit of dill and butter.
Yeah. Amelia, like,
it's worth it.
Yeah. So there's like these potatoes in Finland. I don't know what they're called. The Finns.
New potatoes. Is the tiny ones.
But they have like a Finnish name that they all like. They're not. There's some, like I say, the Finns would be screaming in the comments about this because they're very proud of the
Sandy might.
Sandy will shout at you. Yeah, exactly. With these certain potatoes that they're only in certain season. Everyone for midsummer buys them, and they're fucking extortionately priced, right? They're like
€8-9 a kilo.
Yeah, they're outrageous. Whereas like the basic other potatoes, which are like from Sweden, which is down the fucking road. Let's be honest, right? Are like €2 a kilo.
Across the pond.
Yeah, across the pond. And in my opinion, taste the fucking same, which everyone will hate, right?
No, mate, you cannot say that.
It's just like,
you cannot say that.
I know, man.
I understand what you mean.
They're potatoes. This is the thing. They're potatoes. Like, either way.
But it's a thing.
Amelia drags me to Prisma in the summer before we go to her dad's for a barbecue or whatever in midsummer, and it's like, oh, we need to get the Finnish potatoes, and this little tray of potatoes will be borderline empty because the Finns have like.
Mate.
And I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
My ex's ex's mother, husband. That guy, Antti. Really nice dude. Like, he never spoke. Like, I feel like he's one of those very Finnish guys that he just didn't spoke much.
Right.
But then, for me, it was very hard because he barely, he didn't speak that good English and I didn't speak that good Finnish at the time. Unlike now. Well, I still don't speak good Finnish, but I remember I always tried to ask him, like, how are you and stuff. And I think he appreciated it a lot. So he tried to make conversation and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember in summer, we were there in his garden and he was showing me, he was very excited, like, oh, I'm going to show you something. And it's the coolest thing I've ever seen, mate. Because he showed me those small potatoes. It's like, we have to peel them. Or like some potatoes.
Yeah.
We have to peel them. I was like, oh, fuck, man, I hate peeling potatoes. He's like, no, I'll show you. And he takes one of the brushes for the toilet kind of thing. But it was a specific one he had, like, next to his drill.
Right.
Like, I'm going to show you something
Oh,
very
the
cool. Drill puts the toilet brush.
Yeah.
And then a bucket with water, potatoes, puts the drill in.
Oh, shit.
Peels them, bro. He puts
That's pretty cool.
Clean, and I was like, this guy's a genius.
You should sell.
Actual
There you go, Finn. Life hack. Your midsummer will never be the same again.
Bro, I was surprised. I took a video, sent it to my brother. He's a cook, right? And he's being like, you're in the kitchen when you are studying,
Slaving away.
Like peeling thousands of potatoes, and he goes, what the actual fuck? I was like, mate, this works. Look at this guy.
Genius, yeah.
2 seconds, he peeled all the bucket of potatoes. It's like,
I remember,
that's a memory. It's like I have it so clear.
I remember we went. Like I say,
that's a very Finnish. For me, that's Finland.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I love how we're doing a political economic stage questionnaire, and we're on about the potatoes, but it's good chat still.
Good potatoes.
I remember going with Melia to, like, her dad has a boat, and they go for, like, in the summer they go to this place with other friends. They like a boating club if you want, and they do the same sort of stuff like grilling and whatever and that. And I remember there's a lovely couple that her dad's friends with, who, like, they're just lovely people, and we see them quite often. And the woman there, like, the thing that I found, they do the finished potatoes. It's like a big thing, a bit of steak and potatoes and salad or whatever in the summer. It's lovely, don't get me wrong. But the weirdest thing, man, to me is they wash the potatoes in the lake. Is that a thing you've seen? And it's just like, it's bizarre to me. It's like it's like a very Finnish thing that they wash their potatoes, like, because the potatoes have the potatoes when you get, they got all the mud on the skin or whatever, and instead of peeling them and they just like put them in a bag or a basket, and they just leave them in the lake, and they got a brush, and they're brushing them in the lake. And I'm just like, it's funny to me. It was a nice little story I thought I'd add in there for the fans.
People here have a weird thing with lakes. And
they love the lakes. Finns are very proud of their lakes. Very proud of their potatoes. Very proud of the lakes. And don't get me wrong, both are lovely, but they are very proud of them. Especially when I first moved to Finland. Again, digression. The Finns were banging on about how you can drink you can drink from the big lakes. This is not the small kind of ponds, if you will.
No.
They were like, oh yeah, you can drink the lake water. I remember a few friends of mine that were like, oh yeah, you can drink from the Finnish lakes. The water's so pure, you can drink from it. I'm like, motherfucker, I've never seen anyone drink from a lake. Like,
no.
And I know there's a few friends of mine they do.
To be fair, I have a very good stomach. I can eat almost anything in Mexico.
Yeah,
it's
like,
not a lot of people say that. It's like, you know what I mean. I'm not sure if a foreigner comes drinks. It is clean, but I don't know if you are not used to this kind of thing.
It's clean, but there are fish swimming in it. It's like, it's like, do I really?
And naked people
yeah.
Right after the sauna, you go to swim there, like, butt naked, and then they're like, but you can drink it. It's like, no, let's skip.
It's like, exactly, yeah. Exactly. It's like, I've been in there. I'm not drinking that. Yeah. Right, so you've got agree for protectionism. We'll move on to the next. We'll get through this section, and then I think we'll take a quick break to refill. We'll pause, and we'll continue the episode, because I think this is going to be a bit of a long one, but it's all good. Next one.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders.
No.
Okay.
Strongly disagree.
Okay, cool. I agree too. The rich are too highly taxed.
No, disagree.
Okay. I think I agree that they are too highly taxed. Which is
I don't know how much. Where in Finland? Yes.
I think everywhere. Like, it depends. If you mean what they're truly taxed or what they're theoretically taxed.
Theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically, I think they're taxed too high. And the reason, realistically, every really rich person.
But realistically, the top 1% barely pays taxes, right?
That's it, right? So
that's the thing. So if you were really paying your taxes, it's like perfectly fine, man. Like, I think having a normal tax bracket should be enough.
Okay, so
but if you have a chance to go around all the taxes, then maybe it's a bit less of a good thing.
I agree.
If I cannot go around my taxes, why should you?
No,
That's what I
I
mean.
don't. Okay. That's why I think we need to clarify. I think they mean if everyone plays by the rules and people pay their tax bracket, are the rich too highly taxed?
No.
Okay, that's what I disagree with because I think the rich they jump
I think
around.
I'm very highly taxed already.
I think so what my point would sort of be, I don't want to go too long on this, but I think we could do a separate podcast on these sort of topics for sure. But do you think paying 50% tax is fair?
50% on what?
It doesn't matter. Like if you earn 100 million a year, is it fair to give away 50 million to the government?
Are you having a rough time with our 50 million?
But it's not the point.
I'm already in a tax bracket that is massive, mate.
But it's not the point, is it? It's like if you earn like, it's just, to me, don't like Elon Musk has got more money than God, right? He's never gonna worry about money, right? And everyone complains every year about what he pays in tax. Everyone complains, it's like the dude.
If we are all gonna pay taxes and there's no way around it, you could probably lower the rate.
Yeah.
But then you should. Here's the thing: are you lowering it for everyone?
Yeah.
Because in Mexico, I was working for manufacturing, and that's one of the highest. I think it's the highest tax bracket, and I was getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Not as much as I'm getting wrecked here.
Oh, I believe that.
But here, if I pay taxes, mate, I see people who are like unemployed getting Kela benefits. If I get unemployed, I get benefits. You see people that like have kids getting some money in a box with stuff like every year and stuff. Like the streets are in good condition. I don't care paying these taxes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I can see it's going to good use. It's not like in Mexico that people are pocket that money, right? And then you're like, why am I paying these taxes? Here you can see it's actually going to good use. I don't mind it at all.
Sure, I don't disagree with tax as a principle. I think it's reasonable. I'm a person that believes that you have the option in a lot of cases to somewhat choose where you live, and I'm a very firm advocate of, if you don't like the rules, get out of the game. Yeah. If you live in the United Kingdom and you go like, I don't want to pay 40% tax bracket on this salary, it's like, then fuck off and get a job somewhere else, right? Is in you play by the rules or you fuck off, right? That's how it works, right? But I do think that like the tax brackets for like is in if you earn 100k a year and you pay, which I already think, I believe, don't quote me, but I think the tax bracket is about 50%, which means after the tax allowance, which again, let's say it's 20k, so you're allowed to earn, I think, about 20,000 a year in the UK. I'm actually totally wrong. I know it's about 11 or 12k, but let's just talk about this in more hypotheticals. Let's say the number is you're allowed to earn 10,000 a year tax free, and then when you go from $10,001 onwards, that's like 20% tax, and then when you get to a certain bracket, it's this, and a certain bracket is this. When you get to a certain point where the tax,
in my last race, it looked massive on paper,
and then you get taxed, and you're like,
I was like, it's not that big.
Exactly right, and I think that's the issue that most normal people have, right? Is that getting from like low salary to high salary is quite difficult because there's that middle area where you're earning the fucking same, basically. You need to earn shitloads before you actually
surely,
and I think that the issue is, right, is that let's just take the example. Let's just say for argument's sake, if you earn 200,000 a year, let's say you pay about 100,000 in tax. I know it doesn't work out exactly like that, but that's a lot of fucking money to be given away, right? And it's not like I say, I'm a firm believer. I think
it's
maybe
the same thing
I'm
I'm gonna tell you of the working for the greater good.
Yeah, I get it, and you should definitely be taxed, right? But let's say you're earning 50,000 a year and you're paying 15k in tax. Let's just say, I know you're paying more than that, but as I say, in an ideal way, you're paying 15k in tax, 20k in tax. Let's just say, right? You're paying 20,000 in tax, and the person earning 200,000 a year is paying 100,000 in tax. So you're left with 30, they're left with 100k. They've still got a lot more money than you, sure, but they are earning 4 times your salary. And I guess the point I'm trying to get to is that there becomes a line, right, where like there's a difference between, like, firstly the question is stupid because are the rich too highly taxed? Well, define the rich, right? Is the rich 1 million a year? Is it 10 million a year? Is it a billion a year? Is it 100 billion? Is it like what is rich, firstly? And that's why I say we won't digress too far, but my argument is I do believe theoretically the rich are too highly taxed, because I just think there comes a point, right, where here's why I believe it, and I try and be more succinct with it, let's say you're a business person who decides to bring your business to Finland out of all places, right? You might not do that because if the tax is so fucking high,
I think that
why
happens
would
a lot.
why would you, right?
Yeah.
If let's say your business generates 20 billion a year and you'd have to pay off like 10 billion a year in taxes, it doesn't make sense. Therefore, Finland miss out on like income, right, or revenue or contributions and helping development in that form.
No, that's true.
If you just charge them a reasonable sense, go, look, let's be reasonable. They're gonna inject 10 billion a year.
Because I think the tax impacts here. I've heard about this and I've seen a lot of comments about it. I think it does impact on the amount of entrepreneurship and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course, because it becomes suboptimal to earn
it's easier
10
to be
million.
employed.
Yeah, or like, and anyone who does get to that level where they start earning in obscene amounts, you have to move elsewhere because how can you sleep at night paying?
That's true. But disagree.
Okay, I don't want to change your mind. Oh, you put disagree. But you have put. Oh, do you mean agree?
What was there?
The rich are too highly taxed.
I would be on the middle, mate, but put agree.
Okay. I feel bad like I've talked to you.
No, because considering it, I would put middle.
Yeah,
I would be in the middle in the sense of like.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Sarah, she works in taxation. I should ask her
here's
what
the thing,
she thinks.
Because I also think if I don't know, I do agree. I would put middle ground, but put agree.
Yeah. Tough spot. Anyway, so we'll get through these last three. We'll take a quick break and we'll get back to it, I think. So those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care.
No. Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree. Okay. Yep, fair enough.
I do believe that's one of the... And I think that people complain about the healthcare here, mate, but if you would live in Mexico, you would not complain about Finland at all. But I think those are this primary healthcare should be free and should be like everyone. We're paying a massive amount of taxes, mate. Like we should take care of people, and I think here in Finland, that's a thing.
Yeah,
I've been to I don't know if it depends. I'm quite lucky because I live in downtown.
Yeah,
and I think they had these trials. I don't know nowadays, but I'm not treated at a normal clinic. I'm not in this like public clinics. I'm in my public healthcare is in Mehiläinen, which is like a private contractor. I think they made these trials of like trying to privatize it somehow, like a bit. But I've gone there, and then they're like, oh, we need to run some tests, these, get a consultation, get these, you see a doctor, you blah, blah, blah. Some blood tests, some like whatever. And my bill is like 20.
Yeah.
I was like, mate, that's how it should be for everyone.
I think
you might wait for months sometimes, but
same in the UK.
But that's how it should be.
We have the NHS in the UK, and that is essentially free or like paid through taxes and things like that. I think
nowadays I have in the same company, like my work provides an insurance that's massively good.
At the risk of like trying to overrule you again, because I said this is your question now. I don't want to impede too much, but I would say just to the question says like those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. So what it's not.
Oh yeah. Then if you pay, but you should have good.
Yeah, for sure. But so the question isn't saying like it's not saying that like.
Oh yeah. So like you have public and private. That's always been.
Yeah. So then you put strongly disagree.
No, I didn't agree.
I just wanted to because I thought I don't agree. I completely agree with what you said, but the question was slightly different.
Yeah. You could have a better like in the sense of. Because I think that's what happens in Finland, that you get a faster.
I think healthcare should be free. I'm
gonna tell you like what I. You could have like faster lines, have like 100%. Because I mean, at the end, you have a certain amount of resources, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I think we should cover all of them, but that costs and stuff. But then it's the same as me. Like for example, now my company has a massively good like
health scheme.
Yeah. I've been there. I've been checked. Nothing costs. And as long as it's kind of related to work kind of thing, they have this thing of like, if it's something that might impact your ability to work or stress you out and these kind of things, then it covers it, which is basically everything, right? And I don't pay a single cent. It's a really good like. And I've for example this ADHD diagnosis. I've heard people get tested like for drugs and this and that, and they treat you like you go like. To pee on a cup kind of thing. If you go through public, you go and pee on a cup kind of thing, and they are watching you because like they want to see that you don't use drugs and this and that and blah 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 blah. Then you make this like months and months and months. It could be years of a process to get like diagnosed and medicated. And I went to a public, like private,
In and
got
out,
immediately to bam, bam, bam. At least like a couple questionnaires, couple tests. It's like, oh, you're fine, mate. Like, here you go.
Yeah.
No one questioned anything, and it's like, I do believe everyone should be treated the same, but like, I wouldn't have gone through the process if it was not a bit of a quicker kind of thing.
And the reason why I strongly agree that people with people with the ability to pay should have higher access to healthcare. The reason why I strongly agree is I totally agree with you that I think healthcare should be free for everyone.
Yeah. It should be good for everyone.
As in, if you can't afford healthcare, I think you should have healthcare provided. But the point is this, right? Is that kind of it's a two-part point, right? Firstly, if those with the ability to pay that want to go get the really high-end private healthcare,
yes.
Firstly, it's like that's taking strain off of the free system. Firstly, right?
It's the same as here, for example. If you want to go to to get a like dental clinic and checkup, you can line up for a year, or you can pay tomorrow and go right away.
Yeah.
It's like, it's up to
exactly. You. I had that literally the other day. I went to Amelia's work. Obviously, I get a slight discount, I believe, because she works there. But had private dental cleaning and in and out. There's a session this afternoon. Do you want to come in? Went in, done for sure. Otherwise, you'd go.
I got slammed because I have like proper checkup from every year free from my company.
Right.
And then they were like, when I went there, they're like, oh, but would you like this and that and that.
Next
and then it turned into like, well, how long have you been here? You need a cleaning and this and that, and then pay $300 in total. But to be fair, I hadn't been dentist for like 4 years. So it was a good thing that I paid, but it stacks up.
But yes, so I think that firstly because it does take strain off. Like if someone can't afford any healthcare, right, and somebody can, the person who, if there's only one option, is just go for free.
You're paying to skip and to get up.
And you're alleviating stress from the infrastructure that's there for free.
Yes.
And on top of that, it's kind of like, well, if you think about it, right, if you want to go and get like, if you want to spend your money on, proper high end privatized healthcare, that money is taxed, goes to the government, and benefits society overall. So cool.
I do agree. Yeah.
Next question is: governments should penalise businesses that mislead the public.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think fair enough.
I think there's nothing to talk there.
Strongly or just normal? Strongly. Fair. Yep. I think I'm the same. Yep. A genuine free market requires restrictions. This is the last question of the section. Yeah. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. So I can read that again if I...
Again.
So a genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. So as in a genuine market that's free...
Yeah, there shouldn't be monopolies.
Yeah.
That's what I understood, right?
So it's saying, but for the market to generally be free, it requires restrictions to stop multinationals creating monopolies.
Yeah, I do believe.
Cool.
No one thinks monopolies are good, other than Finland. And well, I don't think you should have monopolies on anything, mate. Like that's not a thing.
I agree. So I'm going to hit next page. I'm going to quickly pause the video. We're going to have a 20-second break, and we'll be right back. Yep. Right, there it is. Cracked open. We are back. We are refueled. Back to it, Rene. Cheers. Okay.
I have to say about this new flavor, raspberry.
Big fan. You're not a fan?
Everything that's raspberry flavored in Finland is excellent.
Yeah, I think everything that's raspberry flavored generally is quite good.
Yeah, but in Mexico you don't get raspberry flavored that much as in here.
Okay.
Raspberries are not great in Mexico. They're usually a bit acid, and here they're excellent.
To be fair, man, I've been here for 6 years as you have. I'd not really... Finland is nowadays what I know of like shopping. You know what I mean? So it's kind of... But with no further ado, we'll get back into the questionnaire or the political compass. Hope you guys are still following along if you're doing it and not raging at the screen with Rene's responses. But let's go. So this one is now we will look at some of your personal social values. This is page 3 of 6. So hope you're in a comfortable chair. Fuck me, there's still a few here. Right, let's get through them.
I'll be quick.
Let's start with a nice light topic: abortion.
I'll skip all the personal stories.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you'll have... Well, hopefully you won't have one. I'll just shut up here. Right. Abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal.
No, illegal?
Yeah.
No, I strongly disagree. I think you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, cool. So when the woman's life is not threatened, so you strongly disagree. Yep. Yeah. Cool.
I agree that there's the limit of like, if it's 8 months, maybe
yeah.
But like the usual rules that are legal everywhere, like in some countries, I think that's fine.
I totally agree.
You should be able to decide.
And it is one of those where, like, without sounding like one of those dudes, we are not women, so it's difficult for us to, like, don't feel it's like... I hate to be that guy, the one's like, oh, how can I speak for a woman sort of thing, because I think in some ways you can, but in that way it's like, it's not really a thing, fortunately, that affects my my life and sort of thing.
For me it's insane, because in Mexico there was a lot of talk. I don't know what's nowadays. At least there's some states where it's legal. I don't know everywhere else, but at least Mexico City, for example, I think it is legal. But people were telling like, oh, but if there's abortions, like they're illegal, everyone was gonna abort and blah blah blah. But I think in Finland, when they legalized abortion, the abortion rates dropped.
Interesting. I have no clue. Yeah, it makes sense. I think the
because people will do it anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you're just making it like, if you're gonna do it in a proper place and don't put your life at risk.
Exactly, and not on the black market type. Yeah, 100%. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. So we got strongly disagree.
What's like social health issue? Like what's the word for it? Where it's like from the health and it concerns to the whole country kind of thing. Like just like drugs and like obesity and stuff like that. Like it's like a public health issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just make it legal and then people do it in a safe environment kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and the fact that it's like, and it just seems crazy to. I mean, this is, again, we've said we wouldn't do this. We already questioned one, but we're still. It's a good topic. It's like the main reason, I believe, this is me going to get absolutely shot down instantly, but the main reason why people tend to disagree with abortion is, well, the main reason, as I said, is religion, right?
I couldn't care less.
So it's like, why should you be able to force your religious view on somebody who may not have the same opinion? If someone's not religious and they want to have an abortion,
I don't have imaginary friends. Like, why should I care about yours?
You're exactly. You're allowed to think as a religious person that somebody who has an abortion is an absolute monster. You're allowed to think that. 100%. But it is their life, not yours.
But to be fair, you'll think I'm a monster in many other ways. So
true that, exactly.
So we just one more check mark there.
So on that note, we'll go to question 2. All authority should be questioned. Yes. Agree?
Absolutely agree.
So strongly agree. Yeah. Yep, cool. Yep, fine.
Everything should be questioned.
Yeah.
Within reason. If you are one of those that I don't disagree just for the sake of not agreeing, then you're a cunt.
Yeah. Pete had the same point of view as you on that, and that was one of the ones where I wasn't so sure, and then I agree with you both. I think I looked at it as...
We're smart.
Yeah.
I like Pete.
That's why
I haven't spoken with him more than a few words, but...
Always surround yourself with people more intelligent than yourself. That's what real smart people do, right? So that's what I do. That's what I do. So next question: an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So it's the...
And everyone goes blind.
Yeah, so the Gandhi thing, like, or is it? No, that's Gandhi's response.
What should I agree?
Do you believe an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth? Do you believe you slap me?
I cannot say no. I have to say strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Oof. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. I
live my life with the principle of I don't do anything.
Treat others with respect, and they'll treat you, and so on and so forth.
I treat people how I would like
to be treated.
Them to treat me.
Yep.
So everyone I meet will be treated with respect, no matter where you're from or what, like your race, gender, or whatever. But if you're an asshole to me, I'll be a bigger asshole.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I think fundamentally, I might have made a mistake on this one when I did it. I might have put disagree, and I think it's clearly an agree for me. But it is what it is. It's one of those ones where I said to Pete with this test, I think it's the kind of thing you should probably do like 5 times if you want a true, because impulsively answer them all and then answer 5 times and just get your average score and so on.
It's the same as this like personality test.
Yeah.
That you have I don't know how many there are, 12 or 15 or 20, I don't know. But it depends on the mood of your day.
Yeah,
that you
definitely.
might like gravitate to something or
totally, yep. So next question: taxpayers should not be. Okay, this is cool. Well, is it? I don't know. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theatres or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. So should society pay
finance,
for
like
finance?
Culture,
yeah,
yes,
culture, exactly
100%.
that. So taxpayers should not be.
So you disagree.
Yep, cool. Yep, I agree with you. Pete thinks the other way, and I respect his opinion on it. And I just said, to me, I think it's sad, and he made a point. It's gonna upset Petra, who works in the theatres, but he basically said he doesn't think he got put off because of theatres. But I said I think it's a real shame if like natural history museums, so to speak, that are free to enter, we should fund them, because it's like some people can't afford. It's a good way to learn culture. I think it's I agree with you. So we'll move on from that.
I think culture is a good way to keep people in the right path of the in the sense of like
And history's important, right? So
100%.
yeah, so I totally agree.
So you don't repeat it.
True that.
We are
Exactly
repeating it constantly.
Exactly.
Well,
Fool me once, shame on you. Is that yeah? Anyway, schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory.
I agree.
You agree? Okay.
Completely disagree. Completely agree.
Completely agree. Strongly agree. Okay. Okay. Fine. Easily done.
Oh wait. For kids.
Yeah.
No, it should be.
Okay. So you strongly disagree, or disagree?
This is a rough one, man. Because I'm the kind of person that can skip. I could skip some classes and then come back, make a test, bam, 100%. On some topics. On some others, I will have to be there every single time. But I think until high school, you should be there. You should be required, and you should be kind of like. I think that system of like. It's your obligation kind of thing. I think education is the way to keep people not being.
Yeah, I think the question means like from a when you're forced, you have to go to school from ages, let's just say 6 to 16 or whatever. It means that period.
Oh, 100%. Yes. No, you should.
I did too. Pete didn't, and Pete had a bit of a caveat, or I think a bit of a kind of a loophole where he said he thinks that it shouldn't be the schools that make it compulsory. It should be like the government. But I think that was maybe thinking too outside the box. I think the question was very simple.
No, you should.
Yeah, cool.
I think so. I think education is the way to change your life, and it's a way to kind of get yourself out of trouble.
One of the bands said, wasn't it, "The children are our future," or whatever that thing was. So yeah. Okay.
I have one of my favorite T-shirts. I don't wear T-shirts with prints very often, but it's like a gun. It's like education is your weapon. I love it. I think that's the way of it. I mean, education is what got me out of Mexico, brought me to Europe. I think that's the way.
And that you meet a fabulous British man and have a wonderful podcast. So yeah, that makes me sound like a bit of a.
You wouldn't listen to this if I wouldn't have studied and come to Europe.
True that. True. I probably wouldn't have started it. So yeah, exactly.
That's very true.
And on that note, we'll cheers a whiskey and continue.
There's the Raul.
There we go.
As I said last time.
Yeah, we'll catch up. We'll get it on a T-shirt when we're big.
Yeah.
It'll be one of the merch. Right.
To be fair, I kind of stole it from. There's this Leo Harlem, Spanish dude.
Right.
One of my all-time favorite comedians.
Right. Okay.
I'll try to search for a subtitle. At least like one of his best material. If you speak Spanish, listen to that guy.
That might be, out of our 7 viewers, that might be a very niche part of the viewers.
It's probably my mom, so that's
true.
One. There's my brother, 2.
Actually,
his fiance, 3.
When you put like half our viewer base is Spanish. Fair point. If I had something witty to say in Spanish, I would, but I'll prepare for next podcast, so it'll be worth. Right, next question. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us. Oh my god, this question is... Sorry, I'll try not to get... Right, I'll stay in serious mode. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind.
What sorts of people, man? That sounds a bit rough.
If someone clips just me saying that, I'm done.
You're done. What? Can you read the question again?
All people...
Just to make it a better clip.
Yeah. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own.
I want to say completely disagree.
That seems reasonable.
In the sense of like, because that sounds very aggressive.
What, because you're not a completely racist business?
Having said that, if you're a completely racist guy,
maybe it is
maybe
better.
You should be okay staying with your own.
The person who wrote that question might be better off staying with their own kind.
That's a bit aggressive, yeah. But I
think we're all on the same page there.
Also diversity is like good.
Yeah, of course.
I read some study and some kind of like that a company, like companies, for example, they benefit from diversity. Because, for example, I see it in my company, man. We have people from all over the world in the team, not just in my company, but in the team I work. It's made of 3 companies. There's people from, well, in the larger group, for example, there's like someone from Spain, someone from Brazil, Finland, some guy that was like, I think he's born in Finland, or at least he grew up in Finland, but from Bulgaria, like the family, and I think having all those kind of things, it's part of the study also that you have so many different backgrounds and different ways of seeing life, that especially in a work like we do, it gives you different views on how the world works, how to find solutions to problems. So
100%. Like
companies
different
just-
perspectives, different. Like,
Yeah, companies and everyone in general benefits from this diversity.
100%.
And if you have like all kind of like, well, not just like from where you're from, but like also like how you identify, which groups you are part of, or you like these kind of things. All those kind of different, having diverse people, like any place benefits from that.
Yeah, I think that's unquestionable, and I think infusion of different cultures into society is like has positive effects like that are, like I say, unquestionable. Without going too far in a caveat, throw off on a tangent, is that I would say, however, even I think every business, every organisation will benefit from diversity for sure. If you have like 10 35-year-old white Swedish men in one engineering company, it won't. There are benefits to have huge benefits to having diversification. That being said, I would say that diversification shouldn't come at the cost of merit. As
No,
in, yeah.
no.
So, but I do.
It's still merit.
In an ideal world, the top 10 people in the business would be,
and no matter what you are,
yeah,
or where you're from,
and in an ideal world, they would be from there would be diversity within that, because that adds a benefit for sure. Yeah,
100%.
yeah, cool. So we've got that as a strongly disagree, which I think is very reasonable. Good.
Usually a very reasonable person.
Yeah, exactly. Contrary to some popular beliefs out there. Yeah, good parents sometimes have to spank their children.
This is controversial,
This
mate.
is- yeah.
I talked with Petra about this, and
I
she
know.
completely disagrees
You're
with
on my
me.
side, and I know we're the same, and the girls aren't. I get it.
Here's the thing. I do believe you shouldn't abuse your kids and whatever, and you shouldn't hit them and stuff.
Again, another reasonable
But mate,
take.
I remember my mom probably tried to slap me a couple of times. She did this like you run as a kid or whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember once especially, and I remember exactly what the exchange was, and I don't want to say it here.
Fair.
But I remember the exchange, and I told my dad was pissed, and I was trying to be a smartass kind of thing. And I remember exactly what I said, and I didn't even see the hand. You know, you're like you're halfway through your sentence, and I felt it. And I remember, mate, I was probably like 10.
But you didn't fucking say it again, did you?
I was probably 10, and I remember thinking in my head, yeah, I fucked up. That was well deserved.
Yeah.
Never again did I say something like that.
Dude,
And,
yeah.
And I think some people miss that, man.
Mate,
Some people require a couple of slaps just
I
to...
am definitely we're definitely doing a podcast on should you spank your children, right? Because
it's a very controversial, mate, because I don't know psychologically if it affects her. But for me, I remember it happened once, and I was like completely disturbed.
I was a terror.
I was 10, and I was like, yeah,
it happened to me. It makes my parents sound like pathological child abusers, right? But I was slapped. I was slapped regularly because I was a dick, not because.
Yeah.
And the thing was, my brother wasn't, because my brother was.
I think if as a kid, you are like, I was like 10 at that time, and I remember being like, well deserved.
Yeah.
I think if at that time you think like that, you probably did deserve it.
100%. I don't think I ever got a smack, we call it in England. I don't think I ever got a smack that I didn't deserve. Like,
having said that, one thing is a spanking or a slap. Another thing is like I beat you with a baseball bat. You know,
of course. I was never.
There's
I was.
like
Yeah,
fucking
that's the
difference.
thing. I was never hurt. It was like it was more a symbol, right? It was like slap on the butt, slap on the hands. That is wrong. Don't do that. It is, don't lick electrical sockets, you silly little twats, because you'll kill yourself. Slap on the wrist.
And then I have to explain shit.
Yeah. But the thing is like, I know a lot of people, and like I said, the research has been done, and X, Y, Z. I think we are the outliers here that think. Don't get me wrong. If I have kids down the line, which I probably do, whatever. I don't think me and Melia even talked about this, honestly, not too often, about as in spanking or not spank type thing. But there's a world where
with a wet newspaper, so it doesn't leave mark.
Yeah,
that's what the federal police does.
but it's one of those things where like I'm pretty much well aware that like if we have kids.
Here in Finland, you probably cannot slap your kid.
What I'm trying to say is like, if we have kids, Melia will pretty much be in charge of how we raise those kids, because as in like, I'll be a great dad, but I'll be well aware that she'll do a lot more research in the ins and outs of that kind of stuff.
she'll know her stuff.
Yeah. So my point is,
she's a way more reasonable person.
If I want to smack the little shit on the butt because he's been a twat, right, and she says no, this isn't how we do it, because I'll just go, okay, fine, I'll call him a cunt under my breath, and we'll move on. Like, obviously, but the point is, I think I agree with you. I think you put agree for this sometimes to spank the children, or maybe you haven't said an answer.
What do you say? What's the question?
Good parents sometimes have to spank their children.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, same here. Like I do too.
I think a slap on time will bring you back to the path of good.
Especially, and maybe this is going to like cause spark, but I think in gender terms, I think I can only speak as a fucking boy, right? When I was a young boy, and you can the same. I learned a lot better from physical kind of. If I got slapped because if my mum said,
Bro,
don't touch this pot because it's hot on the top of the stove.
Up to this day, I remember exactly the conversation I had with my dad time. And I remember thinking, yeah, well deserved.
And some psychologists would say that you've been traumatized.
No, bro, I remember being like, yeah, fuck that. Like I that was completely called for.
But my mum is a, as I'm sure yours is a great parent, and that's not to say our dads aren't. Like my dad's, you've met my dad. He's lovely. He's obviously a great parent as well. But my mum is who traditionally was in the house, who set the rules, and it was always the case of, because dad worked a lot, right, sort of thing. And it would be a case of my mum would say, don't touch this boiling pot on the stove because it's really dangerous. And I was a little idiot, and I'd be like, I'll go and try and touch it. And as I go and touch it, probably out of sheer panic, she was a young mum at like 21, whatever she was.
Out of panic.
She'd slap my hand away, like, you fucking idiot, don't. And I'd cry and run off, whatever. And she'd say, you do that, you burn your... Because, there's these horror stories of children pouring pots all over themselves.
I have a cousin that she burned, like, she poured, like, oil.
Exactly.
She still has, like, the marks.
Look at my skin, mate. Pure as an angel. Like, because I was slapped on the wrist, been told don't touch molten...
Clip this, mate.
Molten...
This will make a great clip.
Molten pots of, rice are not to be touched, or whatever it was. Yeah, I agree. We'll move on. Like I said, we try to...
I do believe, within reason, it's like, hey, mate, don't touch the bonfire, you'll get burned.
Exactly. And it does say... And it says sometimes, right? Good parents sometimes. Not good parents give them a daily beating. It's
no, 100% you shouldn't.
Okay, it's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents.
Yeah, it is natural. 100%.
Yep, I agree. So strongly agree?
Strongly agree.
Yep. Sorry, mothers out there. Yeah. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offence.
Strongly agree.
Yep, I believe so too. As a person who doesn't even...
In general, I think most drugs should be legal.
Yeah.
Should be regulated. Like, man, the tax money you could pocket from pot. Everyone smokes.
Yeah, I think...
Like, you should fucking just tax it and lower my tax bracket a bit.
Yeah, that's sort of the point. It's like
you'll make more money out of everyone who smokes than from
if someone's going to take LSD and then end up being like mentally unsound and take an assault rifle and go and shoot up a mall, that should
make you go crazy, man. LSD is one of the most like safe.
What am I thinking of? Acid, or is that the same thing?
I don't know.
There are certain
like because those things that are hallucinogens, they're like there's a lot of research nowadays on we can have discussion later of like for treating a lot of mental issues, mate, like brain like chemical imbalances and like depression and shit.
But they're
it won't make you go crazy and go shoot people.
Yeah, they're
cocaine.
different kind of job.
I
might have got the wrong job, but there are certain drugs for sure that I understand. There are certain drugs that can but
they might trigger your schizophrenia and stuff, and then but that's a different.
But marijuana for personal use, I think people should be able to do it.
No one has died from smoking pot.
That's a bold statement.
Mate, you've seen someone smokes pot. They'll lay on the couch, eat shadows. Like, he won't take an assault rifle and go killing people, mate.
But I think I'm not a medical expert, but I think there's like there's reasonable correlation between suicide and marijuana use in the long term. Yeah,
because it can trigger any drug. Mate, alcohol, if you overdo it, is bad.
Drugs don't work, they make you hurt.
Mate, even food. You overdo food, you're fucked.
Yeah,
everything in excess is bad.
Yeah, true.
But if people are gonna have excess anyway, tax them. That's the part I don't get. Like, why is
another thing, as you said, like, but you can't say to people you can't do marijuana because you might kill yourself, and say
people will do it anyway.
But you can drink 3 bottles of vodka because you'll be fine. Yeah. But we'll move on. There's another. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Disagree?
Disagree.
Yep.
Because I think that's what people do nowadays. You're taught to be a good worker, kind of thing.
No, I agree.
And I think what should be incentivized is the critical thinking.
Yeah,
And
that's
life skills in general.
pretty much couldn't agree more. That's what I said with Pete. Exactly the same thing yesterday. So spot on. We can move on. People with serious People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce.
Oh, here's where we get cancelled.
This is where Rene hates his life, and no.
What's the question?
People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. And I'll take the bullet for you first. I agree. Just so I'll be there.
How serious, mate? What's a serious inheritable disability?
I don't know. I don't write the question, but I just put, I don't know is the answer. But
because I do agree, for example, in the, as I said, you should be able to abort by anything. So there's this test, right, that can tell you the kid has problems and like some issue. Will he ever have a normal life? No. Okay, then you can abort. If you choose to keep him, like, fine. That's also fine. Like, it should be your choice.
To me, serious. I agree. I think that does need clarification. And I took that. My interpretation was serious, meaning like, you'll live like a very bad life, basically. Like.
No, I think you should be allowed.
Okay, fair. Yep.
I'm gonna say what disagree.
Yeah.
Not strongly.
Yeah.
It should. I think all of those things should still be your choice.
I think you're probably right. I put agree because I just kind of I took it as like, if you've got, let's just say you've got a history of diabetes in your family. My family has, right? It's like, of course you should be able to reproduce because it's, that's serious.
That's what I was asking. Like, what's the big?
Of course, but if
ADHD, man, he can survive. But if you're telling him like, if you reproduce, the kid's never gonna be able to walk and have a normal life and talk and communicate.
Yeah. That's how I took it.
Maybe you shouldn't.
I was taking it as.
But yet again, if you want to do it and you want to take care of him, mate, it's your choice.
And that's where I think I still stand by agree. For me personally, is that I disagree. I feel like you're kind of like forcing upon another human being, as drastic as that sounds, a life of misery.
Oh, I think yeah.
I think it's close for sure.
I
don't
agree
know
with you.
Yeah.
I would think I strongly I would disagree with your decision, but I don't.
But you think you should be able to make it?
But I think you should be the one that makes the decision.
Yep, absolutely fine. Yeah. Cool. Next question. The most important.
It will also cost to the state and cost to all of us.
Yeah.
So you should think about it, but I don't think we should forbid you to take that decision.
I think you're absolutely reasonable response, Rene. Yeah, totally think that's reasonable.
I'm fucking a great person, mate. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
I'll be the whiskey talking about.
No, you're a great guy. I'll give you that. Right. There are no savage civilized peoples. There are only different cultures.
I don't know, mate. I've heard your story of pouring Pepsi on a 400 euros whiskey.
True that.
That's pretty savage in my book.
True that.
But
didn't like whiskey at the time.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Nor Pepsi.
Don't even like Pepsi. Yeah. Sugar Pepsi.
No, I agree, man. I think it goes back to the same we talked of, like, is your race superior kind of thing. It's like all races and cultures have their ups and downs.
I think, as I said, each to their own. There are no savage and civilized peoples. So there's no savages and there's no civilized. They're just different cultures. I disagree because I think there are some savages out there.
No.
Yeah. So
I see what you mean. Yes, yeah. I would agree.
But agree means that you believe there aren't savage and civilized
people. I disagree.
Okay, right, yeah, cool. I thought so because, because there are people that literally eat their own kind, right? There are communities where they'll.
No, not even that, mate. There's people who behave like absolute animals out here, mate.
For sure. But I'm saying, if you were going to take this from like a cultural, if you were going to take this I totally agree. I'm on the same page. But if you were going to take from there's an, I don't know, this is really uncultured of me, but there's a certain island somewhere where.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, when
Aztecs used to.
Yeah, when people go. Yeah,
people.
Yeah, and there's even in today's when anyone who arrives on that island, they like murder them. They beat them to death with like. They kill everyone who arrives.
Where does that come from?
And that's not a culture thing. That is savage.
That must come from something happened, mate.
Sure, maybe.
It's like when you walk into any place.
Yep.
Of like, let me think of an example. You walk into McDonald's, let's say.
Yeah.
And then you see a sign, for example, on the wall. Like, do not dip your hands into the oil of the fryer.
Yep.
Someone already did that, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so why are these guys killing people that comes to their island? There has to be a story
Okay.
that at some point, someone came into our island. We got fucked. Now everyone who comes, then let's get him wrecked before he does something.
But
there has to be a story.
Devil's advocate, right? Devil's advocate. The Germans invaded Poland in 1939, whatever it was.
What
right?
did they do? I'm kidding.
But the point is, you could say,
this is my point. Of
like,
there's animals. You go here in Finland, mate. It's a quite civilized country. Like on general standards, what people would call civilized. You go to the bar, and there's people behaving like absolute animals.
Yeah.
That you're like, mate, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like
true,
every country has, like
but,
every
but,
country,
but not savages.
Not,
to me, savage. To me, the question of there are no savages. There's no savage and civilized people. They're just different cultures. The answer is like, well, that's not true because there are different cultures, but there are also savage and civilized. You disagree? Yeah, I disagree too. Cool.
No, wait.
Strongly or
there's no.
Disagree with me or you disagree with the.
What's
the question is there are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. So they're saying.
Oh, then I agree.
You think there aren't savages?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not.
That doesn't mean I have to like your culture.
True.
Yes.
Fair. Absolutely. Yeah.
Or agree with your culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Fair. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society support. You pretty much talked on this earlier. I think you strongly agree. Yeah. Cool. We can move on from that.
As long as you're, if you're, you should be taken care of if you're a productive member of society, or you have a good reason not to be.
Yeah, totally. Like the
if
question literally says, you're able to work and you refuse opportunity.
No, if you can't, no, fuck that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You basically, I knew you'd answer that because you previously touched on that in a previous one. Yes. So yeah, when you are troubled, it is better not to think about it, but to keep busy with cheerful things.
When you're troubled.
Yeah.
What kind of trouble?
Trouble just means when you've got problems.
Oh man, yeah, you have to keep busy, otherwise you get fucked.
Okay. So you agree?
Strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Okay. Devil's advocate again. I don't agree. I put strongly disagree because it's like when you're troubled, it's better to not think about it, but to keep busy with cheerful things. It's like right.
If you cheerful things, I disagree with the cheerful things, but you should be busy.
Right. Because to me, it's like if your house is burning down, right? The logic could be, well, it's really. I just think about better things. You're going to burn to death, or let's say you're in like financial stress. It sucks. You dig your head in the sand, but that's not going to get you out of your problems.
Oh, here's a bit of a different thing because I agree with you. I agree completely what you say because the place where my head went is, for example, I got divorced when I came to Finland, right? I left everything, came here, got divorced. It's a shitty situation, and the whole I wouldn't say depressed because I wasn't.
Yeah.
But I was like quite down. I was like, that's the year where we met.
Yeah, it's a shit question.
And
I know. Yeah,
and that's mate. My Monday was like I would go, like I was working Monday, Friday, and then right after work I would go, like quite far, train jiu-jitsu. I think it was like something like Monday to Thursday I would train jiu-jitsu. On Fridays I would always go out. Saturdays I would always go out. I would go like in between to improv and this and that. I was barely at home.
Yeah. You've just been broken up, right?
Because you're busy, mate.
Yeah.
Like, and that keeps your head out of
it.
Because rather than going home and being like, oh, I'm miserable, poor me, and then being a victim kind of thing, it's like, mate, you just work, keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
You have a problem with like whatever, then you fix that problem, and that's that.
I think it's a shit question, right? Because you're spot on. But the question is, when you're troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. And there are different kinds. There are different kinds of trouble, right? Like you say, if you're heartbroken, a good solution is often to focus on other things, right? But if you're troubled,
I would like plus the money and
and
finding a place to live and shit.
Yeah, but likewise, if your trouble is my life sucks, I've got no job, I've got no income, my wife left me, I've got like the thing about cheerful things, like I like video games. It's like, well, cool, but that's not going to solve your problem. So, but yeah, it's a shit question. So you can answer it however you interpret it.
Because it depends on what the question is. But thinking cheerful things will never do shit.
Okay. So you currently got strongly agree.
And then disagree.
Disagree. Cool.
Yeah, just thinking about being positive.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't matter, we'll fix it. Fuck that, mate. You either do
In
something.
fairness, it does say, but keep busy with more cheerful things. But
That's
it's,
the thing.
Yeah.
I was drinking and training and fighting.
Was it cheerful?
The drinking, it was. The fighting, not so much because I suck at jiu-jitsu.
We'll move on with that one. I think it won't, because obviously we have in great stories for each question, but we do need to keep this under 5 hours.
Oh,
so
okay.
we'll first.
People will love it.
Yeah.
Tell us if it's too long.
It's like we're gonna have to do this in a 4-part series and release it to Netflix. First,
At least we know Sunny's watching.
true that. Good old Sunny. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country.
Mate, you can.
Can you?
Can you not?
I'm joking. So you strongly
I
disagree?
just spent half an hour speaking about potatoes. If that's not integrated, I don't know what it is.
Strongly disagree. Then. Yeah. Well, I'm a first generation immigrant.
Oh,
technically. Yeah. That's the problem with being a white man, right? That's one of the
Right,
many
well, don't
problems.
take you seriously, mate.
One of the many problems with being a white man that I face daily is.
I think I'm pretty
joking.
integrated, mate. I mean, I have a pretty decent job.
I'm studying on
My life is decent.
Duolingo. That counts, doesn't it? Yeah.
I speak good enough Finnish to
You do.
go by.
You speak very good Finnish.
But compared to other immigrants,
You sell yourself short on Finnish for sure. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, let's move on because let's talk less about Renee's wonderful vocabulary skills and linguistic skills. Anyway, what's good for the most successful corporation is always ultimately good for all of us.
No.
Strongly disagree or disagree?
Strongly disagree.
Yeah, fair. We can just move on.
Yeah, that's quite straightforward.
No, this is a very English-orientated question, I believe.
Go for it.
No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding.
No, because here we have this ULE.
Okay, is that Finnish? Is that funded by the?
You pay taxes, mate, on that. We all pay taxes, and that pays like ULE kind of thing. And you have the news, and you have this Selko Uutiset, which is like news, for example, with the.
So ULE, is that like their BBC? That's all I have in England.
ULE is like it's like your Channel 1, I think, is here,
Right.
and that's everyone pays taxes that goes to that. You pay a very small percentage that like you pay on that.
I don't watch Finnish TV because
it's excellent, mate. They have really good things.
I'm sure it is, but it is in Finnish.
They have nothing in English. Yeah, but like, they have excellent content.
That one limiting factor for me is the language.
Yeah, it's a problem. But like, if they would put subtitles on that,
yeah, I would definitely.
They could sell it to fucking everyone.
Amelia says
the
this all the time. She said sometimes she watches a program. She's like, I wish you could watch this, and I wish there was English subtitles.
Petra watches all the time. Like Ule, like they have a lot of documentaries and shit. It's like really good. When I was studying Finnish, not so much nowadays, but I check the news from them.
Yeah.
And then I check they have this Selko Uutiset, which is like news, but they use very simplified language. Okay. So if you're learning Finnish, you can use that.
Right,
they produce in Swedish, Russian. Like I think it's a very good like broadcasting agency, and it gets paid with taxes. And I couldn't I wouldn't take my taxes away from that.
Okay, so I think
I think that's good.
Disagree then. Strongly disagree.
Yeah. I think that's very decent.
Okay, so you believe no institution should receive funding. You strongly disagree.
Yeah,
or
I think that's very decent, mate. Yeah,
fair? Yeah. Okay, page 3 of 6.
Having said that, in Mexico, fuck no, mate.
Right.
Because I think here they're still quite objective. In Mexico, it's just propaganda shit. So I wouldn't agree.
Sorry,
living in Finland, yes.
The questionnaire is flagged up at me that I've missed this question, so we'll try and quickly cover this before we move on. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline.
Most important. Accept discipline.
Yeah.
No, I disagree.
Yeah, of course. It's clearly not the most important thing a child should learn.
The most important thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's many more things above to accept discipline that are more things to learn. So, we strongly disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad. I'm like an interjector.
Because you should question things, and
like
discipline is important. I'm gonna say it is.
Yeah, of course it's important, but it's not the most important.
But it's not the most important.
Yeah, for sure. Page 4. We'll try and whiz through these, but there's because they get
You just go for it. I'll skip the personal history.
Yeah. We can get a few in there, but still fine, right?
Yeah.
This is for the cliff note for this one is
also my friend Karen might be watching 100%.
Friend who?
That's another Spanish.
Oh, Karen,
speaking.
I know her. I met her in. She lives in Germany.
Yeah.
Germany.
She
Yeah,
was
lovely.
Your old place. Yeah.
Lovely person. Got a lot of time for her.
That's another Spanish speaker.
Hello, Karen.
So there's more Spanish speakers than English speakers.
Fucking hell, I need to up my game. Need to up my game.
Well, probably not English speakers, but like any other.
Yeah. Well,
Natives.
What can I say? I'm very popular in Spanish-speaking countries. It's
nice audience.
Yeah. Educated people, you see, I attract them like magnets. Anyway, I digress. And how you see the wider society is this next title. So, our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism.
No.
Okay. So,
I strongly disagree.
Okay.
I have this conversation with I've had it with TK, for example. I talked about that exact same thing with Petra last week. We're talking about this, like, for example, if they will have cameras on the street, like with this facial recognition, and they can check if you have a arrest warrant, if they could recognize you and alert the police that you're around,
right?
Would you be happy with it? And a lot of, like, some people would be like, no, it's my warranty of like public, like just transit and like privacy and stuff. But I think you have to sacrifice some things in exchange of others, and if it's for national security and these kind of things, yes, I don't mind it. Having said that, if it turns into this China thing of like if you cross in the wrong intersection, you get less points as a good citizen, and that might avoid you getting a loan for your house. That's a bit extreme. Yeah. But sacrificing a bit of privacy for security, I don't think that's a problem.
I think I may have answered this strongly agree, which is the complete opposite to you, and I think that I do. It's one of the very rare ones where I strongly agree that it is being curbed in the name of counterterrorism, but I see your point, if that makes sense.
My point is, like, for example, for me, I have nothing to hide. I have nothing. Like,
and I think my brain works in a way of I totally agree with what you're saying. I just think just because I have nothing to hide doesn't mean that my privacy is not being invaded. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean.
As in, even though from a logical standpoint, if I'm going to act as a civilized human being and the government spy on me 24 hours a day in my office, camera there to make sure I'm not doing anything bad.
That's a bit
but as an example, right? Like just as an extreme example, like walking down the street, they can watch me go and pick up my overpriced finished potatoes.
Also, no one wants to see you wanking here, mate.
True that. Well, yeah. I don't know, man. How do you think I pay the rent? But sorry, Mum. But but basically the point is that what I'm trying to say is that as a sort of in that light, I'm kind of saying that
I think that's a very controversial topic.
Yeah, exactly, and as I said, it needs more than that. So I get what you're saying.
But I don't want to change.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. A significant this one this one's kind of sucks, but anyway. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all arguments that delay progress in democratic political system.
No, fuck that.
Okay.
You cannot have a one-party political.
No, as in a state. So like what that means, like in regions, like for example, in like the US, you've got like I don't know, California is Democrats, Texas is Republican, New York is I don't fucking know. They're all like, and some of them are mixed, right?
Yeah.
They're saying the benefit of them being like fully Democrat is that it avoids like in that small set.
No, I think you should have balance.
Okay, yeah. So you strongly
I mean, if you ask me, mate, like everyone have my same views, and we'll make this utopia for Rene, right? Yeah. But realistically, the more counterweights you have, the more you will forward democracy, and the more you will forward this kind of like debating. Yeah. And the most. You know what I mean? I
do. I think, and again, I hate to be the guy that's like, I sort of disagree, only because I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying the statement is true. And like a significant advantage of us all being on the same page is it does delay progress in the sense of if we're going to sit and argue over whether or not healthcare is more important than schools or business is more important than this. Like
I agree, but let's say, for example, you have two neighboring states. Yeah. And then everyone's on the extreme right, the other one is on the extreme left. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen?
Well, they're not going to like each other, generally.
And you get conflict, mate, and I don't think that's a good thing. Whether if everything is homogeneous, and then you have in every state, people are pro and against, and then you have debating, and then you have compromise. it's less likely to become these extreme sides fighting each other kind of thing.
I get what you're saying. I think the argument can be made that, like, but if it's, let's just say California and Texas, because I've got really poor American knowledge of politics, right? So let's just say I'm pretty sure, I know California are Democrat, and I'm pretty sure Texas are Republican. I'm certain of those things. So those two, let's just say they're neighboring states, but the reality is they might mock each other a little bit of, oh, those soft like Californians and those red-blooded Texans, whatever it might be, right? Those things, fine. But if you've got like a really split state, just saying one significant advantage is you get to like debate real issues within your community that you'll agree, because you're getting past all the shit at the beginning of. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's just my take on it.
No, I disagree, man.
Cool.
Well, I don't know what's the agree or disagree.
So a significant advantage of one party state, you just disagree or strongly disagree. Or...
It is an advantage.
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't think that's a good thing.
It's not saying.
So should I agree?
That's the thing. It's not saying is it.
Then I agree, mate. Like,
right,
definitely.
That's
if
the point.
Everyone agrees,
I'm saying I don't agree that we should not have different opinions.
I agree.
They're saying is a significant advantage.
That is an advantage. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That was all. Like I say, I don't want to feel like I'm.
Yeah, mate. We're just.
Yeah. I should write the questions for them a bit better because anyway. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. This is pretty much kind of going back to what you just said. Yeah.
Agree.
Okay.
Not strongly.
Or just a normal
because
agree.
It is a problem if you overstep it, but
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Me and Amelia talked about this one today. We had a good chat about it. I'm sure she was glad I brought this up. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes.
Strongly agree, given the fact that you have a proper. If you're gonna kill someone,
a proper you
have to be 100% sure.
Yeah.
If you would tell me in Finland you're gonna apply death penalty, I'm 100% for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me you're gonna put it in Mexico, where the system is very corrupt,
that's what you're saying.
I would completely disagree.
Yeah, I think that's very smart.
But you will have a lot of people like unjustly.
Yeah, I totally agree. As long as you've got a very perfect like.
If your system is like very
judicial system.
Yeah,
I agree. I strongly agree as well.
But we go to the same point where if you've crossed a line where child abuse and murder and these kind of things, I don't think you've
given up your right to 100% agree. Yep. I think that's another one I want to bring on.
We've had this there was a case in Finland from some guy that murdered someone.
Yeah.
And then it was
if
you let me go, like I'm gonna do it again. He made like 12 years or something. Let him free. Killed 2 more people. It's like, mate, you knew that was going to happen.
Melia gave me the exact same answer spot on the exact same thing. It was a guy that strangled people. He strangled somebody. He went to prison for 7 years or something for something ridiculous.
Yeah, because 12 life sentence I think is like 12 years here, and then if it's your first offense, you get half of it.
And I don't know how true all this is, but it was something along the lines of he strangled somebody. They put him to prison. And they released him, and he basically said, "Yeah, if you let me go again, I'm going to do it again." And they let him go, and he strangled someone else to death. They let him go, and they went in prison for like longer, like 30 years.
Oh.
He only served like 15 of that. They let him go again. He's just strangled another person. He's now back in prison. He's one of 2 people that are in the highest rank of security of prison. And
it's like if you would have put him down the first time, that's it. You wouldn't have to.
It's just like what you do. Like, where is the logic? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, where is the reason? Like the guy has literally said, "I fucking love strangling people. Like, do not let me out there. I'm going to do it." And it's yeah. So I agree. In a civilized society, one must have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. I can repeat if you need, but
I don't think you have to. But I think it will happen.
Okay.
I don't think you have to.
Up to you.
I would put it in the middle, mate, because I would say I disagree.
Yep.
I don't think you have to, but
Pete was disagreeing.
If you were very,
I was close. Same thing.
This was like the perfect, completely civilized society, no one has to supervise anyone. Everyone does what they have to do.
I think Pete might have changed my mind on that. I think it was one of those where it's like I agree. You can technically be a civilized society and not have a hierarchy. I do. Yeah. I believe.
On a perfect society where there's no hierarchy, everyone does what they're supposed to. No one has to check.
Okay, so we've got the next question. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything. shouldn't be considered art at all. Yeah, these are the ones, man, aren't they? They're the ones where you're like, ugh, fuck, do I care? Do I know? It's
Abstract
like,
art that shouldn't be considered art. If it doesn't take skill to do, then it shouldn't.
but define skill. This is what I mean. These are the kind of bullshit questions.
Here's my thing, mate. Like, I'm gonna be completely disagree. I don't care. I grew up. My mom is a really good painter. Like, she paints. She paints. You take a picture, and she will paint it almost the same, right?
Right.
And she gives depth. I remember when I was a kid, she painted a clown, and I hated it, man. She had it at my bedroom, and when I was a kid, I just couldn't sleep by my own, and I would go running to them, and I was like, no, I want to sleep with you. And then it's like, because I remember the fucking clown was painted in such a good way.
So accurate. So realistic.
Mate, when you moved,
He's still looking.
it seemed like he was looking at you, right? Like it seemed like the eyes moved. It was so good, and she paints that good, mate. Like, and everything. My mom is very artsy in the sense of like she writes stories and she writes like these kind of things and she paints and in the house I grew up, it used to look like an art gallery, mate. We have like this large corridor full of paintings.
Yeah, my parents are very like that as well.
Yeah, mostly painted by my mom and painted from some famous artists and stuff that were friends with her. And then my aunts used to paint, and everyone's super artsy. So then when you grow up seeing that,
right,
and then you see someone like,
here's a banana I peeled and threw on the picture. Yeah,
I threw some paint and this art. It's like, hey, mate, I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay, so you abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art. Do you agree, or
I agree.
Strongly or just normally?
I would say strongly.
Yeah, fair. I like it. Okay.
I think if it didn't took any skill and you're just selling it with a fancy name and being kind of like, if the PR is selling your art,
I totally agree. Actually, I thought about this one a while, and I think I'm overthinking it. You're spot on. Like, if I literally grab a bucket of paint, throw it at a wall, and go, "That's art," that's not fucking art. I agree.
No,
cool.
I don't think so.
Cool.
It's something fun. You can do it, and you can hang it on your place. And you
however,
might think, "Oh, yeah, it's funny." But art.
But the problem is when they say, this is why I think these are shit questions, because when it says abstract art that doesn't represent anything, so it could be a really amazing piece of like artwork, but it doesn't represent. You can't tell what it is. If you say what is that, well, it's not a mountain or a forest or I don't know, a clown, right? It's just a really nice weird painting. That is art because it's skill. So I think you're right about the skill. But so we'll move on.
I think it needs a skill.
Yeah.
If you are good with I know these colors go together and will be a good composition kind of thing, and it's nothing like this spots, but it looks good, and you did it with that in the head of like, oh, this is a good composition of color, this and that, and sizes and proportions. Then that's art.
Okay, cool.
If you took a bucket, throw it, and let's see what happens, it's not.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion, I might be wrong.
No, I totally agree. Yeah. So okay. In criminal justice, punishment should... Let's try and rattle through these, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so in criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation.
I think there's a line that if you cross, you shouldn't be thought of bringing you back.
So punishment first.
If you... Yeah, because
Yeah, I think I feel the same, because I think generally it's like... It depends what you mean. If you've literally stolen a car and you love to steal cars... But I still think overall, like, punishment before rehabilitation. You've done a crime. You should serve a sentence for the crime, not like, well, don't do that again. Let's make it better, because that doesn't always work.
I don't believe in rehabilitation. I think that's a very, very hard, especially when you cross certain lines. If you stole a chicken because you're hungry, there is rehabilitation, mate, because you did it because there was no other option.
And you don't need rehabilitation there. You need a chicken, right?
You need like to get reinsertion into society.
Yeah,
but if you murder someone because it brings you joy, mate, that's that, man. You shouldn't come back to society in any like.
Agreed.
There's no situation, like no what's that?
A
scenario where I believe you will get better and come back, mate. Like, you shouldn't.
If you like to strangle people, you should be locked up and the key thrown away, or killed, or whatever, and not. Yeah, exactly. I agree. So agree or strongly?
Strongly.
Okay. Yeah. It's a waste of time. This is basically the same kind of question in a weird way, but it's a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. Yeah, I agree.
Some criminals, 100%.
Yeah, some, exactly. Yeah, cool. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. Okay.
I think it depends. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
disagree, but I think it depends.
Okay.
I think it depends on what you give to society. It's again the common, like, what's the greater.
Yeah. Like I say, I think the best way to answer these is impulse, because to me the way I looked at it was I agreed, because it was like, well, if we don't have a manufacturer, if we don't have an innovator in terms of the way I saw it was like culture or science. It's like, what would I rather?
100%.
But I'm not sure I'm right.
I'm gonna say agree. I would say it depends. I'm gonna go with agree.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
in general, a manufacturer will cover your primary needs.
Yeah. Exactly.
Of food and clothing and shit, and then the art comes secondary. If you haven't eaten, if you don't have a roof on your head, I think art becomes secondary. I think it's very important, but it becomes like a.
I agree too. Yeah. I agree. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers.
No, mate.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No.
So you strongly disagree?
No,
or
because
disagree?
I think if you as a couple have a kid, you both have the same.
Yeah, the
weight
burden
of that.
isn't on the woman to be
No,
the. Yeah, I agree.
no.
So you want strongly or just disagree?
Strongly.
Yeah. I think. I agree too.
I think you both have the same weight.
Yeah. There's no. It's not the cat face.
It's not more, man. You should do more. Like, if she
carried it for 9 months. So
100%.
yeah,
You should at
you're in
least
debt.
try,
You're in
yeah.
debt. I agree. Don't tell me though. Well.
No, I don't want kids, but like, but I do believe that, mate. If you did the rough part kind of thing, like,
100%.
I should help somehow.
100%.
I would feel bad.
I just had sex.
Hey, here's the thing, like, for example, with Petra, I cook. I love cooking, mate. And she,
You should do a YouTube.
because I should do YouTube. it will get like 3,000 followers. at least.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, I love cooking, mate. I do it because I like it. I love. This is a very Mexican thing where you feed people that come to your place.
Yeah,
You've been to my place, and it's like there's always food, there's always snacks, at least
There is
something, or I'm
indeed.
making a video or something.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy it, mate. I love when I cook and people come. I eat. It's a very like Mexican thing of like, you come. Are you hungry? No. Okay, eat this.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, and I love it, man. And when Petra comes, like from work, usually from, for example, Saturdays, she comes from work. I haven't been doing shit on Saturday because I rest Saturday, Sunday, and then I cook something. And when she comes, there's like food. Oh, you're so nice. It's like, mate, like, that's the least I can do because I haven't been doing shit.
If that's the
You've been
bar,
working
you're
the
going to
whole day.
overachieve. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's the, and she's like, oh, let me wash the dishes. I made a mess, mate. I'm very messy in the kitchen. Like, if I'm cooking, I don't care about cleaning.
Messy man in the kitchen. That
And-
could have been.
and-
That's my channel.
And then she's like, I feel bad, mate. I feel bad that she cleans the dishes. And in her head, because I get it, she's like, I should.
You cooked, I cleaned.
You cooked, I
Yeah,
should clean.
Yeah.
But I feel bad still, mate. Like, I don't know. So I think I would feel very bad if I'm not like
To the
doing
lady,
at least
to the
half of it.
You're breaking the hearts of all the ladies listening, mate, because you are what they
I'm a
call.
great mate,
You're,
I'm telling
you're
you.
what they call a keeper, Renee.
I'm a great person.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I mean. Like, I think you should both have the same. Like,
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yep. So multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant-generated resources of developing countries.
come again?
Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant-generated resources of developing countries.
Probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree or strongly or
I mean, probably strongly.
yeah.
It is unethical.
I mean, it
is what it
literally is what it is. 100%. I think that one's relatively
Easy
undeniable.
of,
It's just they are.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I know it's a shit question.
You really again.
Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity.
Yep.
Yeah, agree?
Strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Yep, cool, yeah.
I think sometimes things, it is what it is, and you should kind of make peace with it. Otherwise, your mental health is shit, mate.
Yeah.
Like, there's things you cannot change, and you should agree that, or not agree, but like you should understand there's things that you cannot change, because that will make it easier on your mind.
Yeah, I think you should be realistic about certain situations.
Yeah.
And I think that is in
That's the
essence
thing.
maturity. Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
thing.
I
And
don't-
you
I'm
should
not
try
saying-
to change
yeah,
things you are
exactly.
disagree. But there's some things that you won't change.
Some things,
and
yeah,
it is
yeah,
what it is.
exactly that. Right. Yep. So we're now on page 5 of 6, and this one only has 5 questions, which we can probably blitz through. And the last page is quite short, and then we'll get your result, and then we can. But yeah,
Hope it's a decent thing. Mate.
It says, if you got through that okay, you'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. So we'll see about that. So if you got through that okay, the tough one, you'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. Right? Astrology accurately explains many things.
Fuck no.
Yeah, I strongly disagree too. You cannot be moral without being religious.
Fuck no.
Yeah, I think these ones will be easy.
If your morality comes from religion, I don't know who made this.
Then you're not
If
truly
you behave,
moral,
if
right?
you behave, if you do what you think it's right, for fear of going to hell, rather than because you think that's what's right,
then you're not truly moral.
then you're a trained dog. You're not a good person.
Yeah, for sure. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged.
No.
Okay.
Completely disagree.
You disagree? Some people are naturally unlucky.
We all know people like that, mate. Some people are. Like, we all have a friend that no matter what he does, like his life is shit, and you're like, wait, you're the best person I know, and your life is like, how the hell is it so bad?
Maybe, yeah. So what do you think? But is it natural or is it variance? I don't know.
I think it comes from your decisions. And you can be super good-hearted, but then your decisions are shit.
It's a shit question again.
This it's again, I would say halfway. It's like neutral.
It's like, how do you define naturally unlucky? Because it's like, if you're saying like, if you're born in a war zone as a child, you're pretty fucking unlucky, right? But if you're saying, well, when Luke went outside to go and get the groceries, it started raining. But when Renee went, it was fine. It's like it's just variance. It's like, yeah.
I'm gonna say agree.
Yeah.
Because some people do get it worse than others, but I would answer neutral.
Yeah.
It's like
a shit question.
neither yes or no.
Yeah.
Like,
it's important that my child's school instills religious values.
No.
Yeah.
Completely disagree.
I thought that would be on. That was quick at least. So last one.
I think religion is the worst thing to happen to mankind.
Yeah.
I like any religion. I think you should do good because you think it's good, and that's that.
It's definitely another podcast there.
And you should work towards common good. Everything you do should be aimed to our society is becoming better. Yep.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be about like why that's happening.
Yeah. It's like that. Yeah. The thing for me, I don't want to get off on a tangent as well, but the whole like 10 Commandments, like thou shalt not kill. Like, imagine being told. Imagine having to have a list of 10 commandments, right? And one of them being, don't kill people. It's like, okay. Thanks for writing that down. Otherwise, I was going to get my sword out.
Otherwise, I'm going to...
It's like, imagine, yeah. So...
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like...
Finally, a look at sex is the last question, right? Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral.
No. Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, these will be quick for sure.
I think it's insane that you would marry someone without
taking it for a test drive.
That's insane.
Exactly, yeah. I couldn't agree more. Sorry, Mealy's mom.
I'll cut that out.
I won't. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from a possibility of child adoption.
Yeah, I think so.
I just want to reread it. Yeah, of course, they shouldn't be.
Completely, like they can. That's if I say agree, it's like they should.
Yeah. It's a really shitly worded question again. It's
the wording.
Same-sex couple, loving relationship shouldn't be excluded from having kids. Yeah, agree. Yeah, cool. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking.
Strongly agree.
Yeah. What goes on? What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state.
Strongly agree.
I think that is. Imagine not agreeing.
Can you imagine that? I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't.
It's like, well, I think, fuck me, man. Yeah. Right. No one can feel. This is. Oh my god. These two questions are a bit of a joke. No one can feel naturally homosexual.
No, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. What the fuck? How?
And it's on a spectrum, right?
How can you be unnaturally homosexual? I mean, you're either gay or you're not, right? How is it not natural? You can't feel.
Here's the thing, right? Because people say like, no, but God is not what intended.
Yeah.
But then God made us all, so it's like, so was he wrong? If he was wrong, then he's not a God.
It's like, dude, it's like, are
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is.
Are you a man? Yes. Do you like cock? Yes. do you naturally like cock? It's like, no. It's just, yeah. I agree with you there. So obviously, it's
I think people should do whatever the fuck they want.
Of course they should, yeah. Yeah. These days, this is a nice question. This last question, so buckle up. It's fine. These days, openness about sex has gone too far.
No.
Okay. Just a straight out agree or disagree?
No,
or
completely disagree.
Okay, cool.
Strongly.
Now let's see where you stand. Scrolling down. You are. Do you want to guess? You want to guess first?
I'm pretty sure I'm like.
This is the fun part.
I think I'm a bit to the left.
This is the fun part, right? So
I think it'll
be up top. Will be authoritarian. Then this will be right for you guys. This will be left, and then there'll be libertarian down the bottom.
I think I'm a bit like a bit libertarian and a bit left.
Okay. Would you like to see the results?
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah.
So I'll show the camera.
I was a bit worried I would get to the other side.
Apologies for the focus. I'll try and.
Oh wait a second.
It's a good thumbnail here. Maybe it's a spoiler. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Pretty decent.
So yeah, Rene is, as he said, a little bit left and a little bit libertarian. For what it's worth, I was about. I can't find it. I was about there.
I think it says there that's like if you get that, you're an excellent person.
Yeah, you are economic left-right minus 5.13. I was minus 0.25. You were social libertarian of that. You were not minus 2.51. I was about minus 1. Pretty much same level this way, and I was maybe a few in this way.
I must say, I do believe anyone should do whatever they want, as long as you don't affect anyone else. Like, do whatever you want.
Yeah,
like that should be a given. But I think no matter where you go, if you're on extreme, if you're touching kind of like the outside of any of those, it doesn't matter if it's left, right, up, down kind of thing. That's a problem. Yeah. I think if you're kind of somewhat balanced in the kind of like center, you're a reasonable person. As I said, like for example, I think what's important in politics and in general in life, if you work for the common good, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
If you are open, like we've talked about this, like if I come here and tell you, like I think what you think is wrong because of this, and if you're open to listen, and to maybe change your mind. You don't have to change it every time, but like if you're open to listen and
if you're unwilling to change your mind, you essentially never learn, right? Because it's like some of the best moments in life, for my opinion, in terms of that, like learning, right, are when you're so sure something is a certain way and being proven wrong. To me, is I love it. Like when you're so sure. You're like,
I guess British are not so bad. And then
exactly that. And so 100%. I think this has been like. Really good. This was longer than I thought, honestly. Hence why we took 2 breaks. But I think it's been really awesome. And I think we'll definitely break it down a bit more.
I hope people don't think it's awesome and don't get cancelled or something.
Nah, I think I want to thank Rene for it because I kind of sprung this on you. Like I said to you, I think this would be a really good idea for a podcast, and you were like, "Fuck it, let's go with it." And because I knew it would be good, and it has been good. Thank you to everyone listening. This was a really long one, probably over 2 hours, but I think a really interesting one.
I hope you liked it, and I found it quite interesting. I like these kind of things, of like same as when you brought the animals, and make these kind of like small, like what's a questionnaire. It's interesting. Yeah, definitely something to. Hopefully, people try it at home and tell us what they.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It would definitely be cool if people that are watching are also doing. I mean, to be fair to them, I feel like this went on way long. I didn't expect. I thought it'd be an hour.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If you got to this point, I mean, you're a hardcore fan.
Exactly.
Like, so far.
But either way, even if you didn't listen to this, I think some people might have picked up the questionnaire. Maybe they can just share their results with us as well. And
to be fair, I really like this. Like even if no one listens, I could care less.
Yeah.
It's a good laugh for the Friday kind of thing.
Definitely, it's been a really good way to wrap up the week. Thank you everyone who watched. Thank you for the questionnaire, and we'll see you guys next time. Follow, like, subscribe. That's the bell, and follow us on Instagram because we'll post whenever we're there as well. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.